the maternal father of the Pokémon world. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 476 Guests. Come on. Dally, use, close combat. In the campsite, Eminem commanded Heracross and defeated a novice trainer's Keris. Well, one day has passed since the power pay was sealed. The four of Eminem returned to the campsite again, and this time, Eminem accepted all the trainers who came to challenge him, and even took the initiative to educate these novice trainers. Of course, Eminem is not being petty and insisting on finding a place, but as a senior, he just wants to teach these new trainers a lesson. The newly conquered Heracross has been named Dally by Eminem. His growth level is about 36. It doesn't look high, but among Eminem's new companions, it is the highest. After all, except for Shuttlecock Grass, except for the others, they were all hatched from eggs and had a very low starting point. Dally usually carries a strength card, and he masters bodybuilding and strange strength very quickly, and although he cannot learn brute strength, his genes are similar to close combat. And he is also mastering it at an accelerated pace, and even can barely inspired. But in normal training, Eminem pays more attention to other skills, such as seed machine gun, rock crit, missile needle, and the like. That's right, it's a skill with small power but multiple triggers. Before Dally left with Eminem, the wild boss of the Heracross forest gave him the Mega Evolution Stone, or rather, he didn't want to go back once Mega evolves. Even though the horns of Mega Heracross are so big, its actual characteristic is continuous attack. Continuous attack skills are generally less powerful, but after being activated, they will take effect multiple times. For unawakened skills, they are usually randomly activated 5 times. As for the effect after awakening, it depends on the respective awakening direction. The characteristics of continuous attack are very suitable for this type of skill, and it can be guaranteed to be triggered 5 times. In this way, if a Pokémon with the continuous attack characteristic uses a 25*5 skill, its power must be much higher than that of general attack. Skills, attack skills that usually have no negative effects are only 80 or 90. At the same time, when Dally is not in Mega, his characteristic is perseverance, and the effect is also good. When he is in a bad state, his aggression will be doubled. Normally, as long as you carry the fire orb while taking the burn damage, your attack will be doubled. But now Eminem doesn't have a fire orb on hand, nor does he forcefully trigger the Mega Evolution, and is training Dally normally. Sakura, did you know that some trainers with bad personalities will specifically pick newcomers to fight? Tomoyo was sharing little knowledge with Sakura at this time. Before Eminem could speak, Tomoyo added, "Of course, Mr. Eminem is different. He is really fighting with the Pokémon he just conquered. He is definitely not bullying anyone." Slim Shady. After saying what Eminem said, Eminem was speechless. After spending a night at the campsite, Eminem and his team finally arrived in Dogman Town on October 20th, one day later than expected. "We're finally here. I'm so tired," Tomoyo and Sakura complained, then looked at Eminem and said, "But even though he's very tired, Mr. Eminem has no choice but to come down." Indeed, as an undocumented Eminem, he can only take a taxi or walk. But there seem to be very few motor vehicles in Dogman Town. Originally, the town was not big, and it was at the mouth of a valley. Going north from here was a mountainous road, so motor vehicles were indeed of little use. "Tomoyo, you and Zoe go to the Pokémon Center first, and Amu and I." Sakura was worried about the children, so she took the initiative to suggest walking with Amu. But before she could finish speaking, Tomoyo had already interrupted. "Fortunately, I can notify my family to pick me up." As he said that, Tomoyo had already opened the illustrated book and contacted the Daioji shopping mall in Dogman Town. Soon someone from the Daioji shopping mall drove up, To pick up Amu and his party. It is impossible for the Prodigy family to have drivers and cars in every small town, but the towns in the Quartz Alliance, except for some very isolated ones, basically have Prodigy shopping malls. It's just a matter of size. Slim Shady. Eminem doesn't know if Tomoyo would have contacted the car to pick him up if Sakura hadn't come up with this great idea. Just go to the Pokémon Center. Tomoyo declined the driver's suggestion to go to the mall for inspection. Said to be the driver. Actually, Eminem suspects that he is the manager of the Dodoc shopping mall here. Along the way, Eminem discovered that Dongman Town was very lively. It seemed a bit too lively for a small town. Not only were the streets bustling, but also many pedestrians with gorgeous Pokémon could be seen. So he asked, "Excuse me, are there any activities in the town recently?" The driver said enthusiastically, "Yes. Tomorrow is Dongman Town's annual Dongman Town Gorgeous Convention. Well, as you can tell from the name, this should be a village competition for coordinators." The other party seemed to be worried that Eminem was underestimating the competition, and specifically said, Dongman Town usually has a strong custom of street Pokémon performances, and the townspeople also attach great importance to the performances. Tomorrow's conference will not only invite some coordinators from around, teachers will come to compete, and some famous coordinators will be invited to be guests, so it will definitely be lively tomorrow. It's a pity that, although Eminem talks about oh wow and so awesome, he actually doesn't pay attention to the coordinator aspect at all. Sakura asked curiously, will there be any big stars coming? Many coordinators are also actors and models. Yes. This year the mayor even used his connections to invite a big star. Ahem. But maybe kids your age don't know him already. The driver, who looked older, was a little excited at first. It seemed that he was still a favorite female star. But then he looked at Miss Tomoyo and Sakura and said with some regret, "Miss Yukiko retired many years ago. No, I'm engaged in film shooting and have never participated in a formal coordinator competition. You may not have heard of it." Slim Shady. Yukiko? It sounds familiar. My father must have mentioned it before. Sakura said after hesitating. My mother also likes her very much. Tomoyo agreed out of politeness at this moment. ZYOAI seemed to sense something strange about Eminem, so she asked deliberately, Mr. Eminem seems to like this kind of beautiful witch very much. No, I suddenly remembered. Kudo Yukiko is Conan's aunt. Eminem said aunt strictly to avoid being exposed, but he specifically emphasized Kudo, making ZYOAI understand that's Conan's biological mother. It's Miss Fujimine Yukiko. The driver corrected with some resentment. Well, Fujimine is Yukiko's original surname. It seems that this person is an old fan and has not accepted the reality yet. Chapter 477 New Discovery. Alliance 200, October 20th, evening. Hi, what's wrong? Yuanzi suddenly received a call from Eminem on the picture book. As for Eminem, what appears in the video is Sunoko's face with a facial mask on. It's nothing. I'm in Dongman Town. It's a small town in the Chengdu area, before entering the Big Valley. How are you and Xiaolan? Are you still in Kanto? Eminem was a little nervous. In fact, Eminem is 80 to 90% sure that they should still be in Kanto. If they have already come to Johto, there is no reason not to tell him, right? Yes, you don't miss me, do you? Hahaha. Yuanzi deliberately made a strange laugh. No, just don't come to Dongman Town. Amu breathed a sigh of relief after hearing this. As long as Yukiko is the only one, there should be no problem. Although Yukiko is in the Unova area, she is also known as the Duchess of the Night and is a famous female detective. Actually, Yusaku is solving the case remotely, but Eminem feels Yukiko shouldn't have it. Conan has such a strong physique. Afterwards, Eminem and Yuanzi exchanged pleasantries for a few words and then hung up. After hanging up the illustrated book, Sunoko hummed a song, got up and walked a few steps, then called Xiaolan and made an appointment with her to leave for the Johto area next week. Okay, but what's wrong? You seem very happy. Xiaolan asked in confusion. Why are you happy? Don't talk nonsense. Yuanzi immediately denied. Xiaolan couldn't help but wonder for a while. I'm happy when I'm happy. Why do I have to have fun secretly? Ahem. It's nothing. Let's do it next week. Let's book a flight together. Yuanzi changed the subject. By the way, in this case, I will just tell Aunt Yukiko to leave Conan in Johto first. We will go there anyway. Xiaolan said at this time. Huh? That kid isn't at your house now? Yuanzi asked curiously. Well, yesterday Auntie Kiko came over and picked up Conan and said she was going to Johto to visit relatives. On the other hand, Eminem was relieved to know that Conan was not here and fell asleep after writing his diary. Early the next morning, Eminem, Tomoyo, and Sakura split up. Tomoyo and Sakura were going to join in the fun at today's celebration. Today's gorgeous contest in Dongman Town is a street performance, and there will be a touring float team, which can also be regarded as a celebration. As for Eminem, he is not interested in the gorgeous contest and plans to train Pokémon outside the town. Dongman Town is too small and there is no battle club at all. Moreover, Eminem doesn't need to use any special skill teaching machine, so he doesn't plan to go to those expensive training grounds. He can just find a place with no one in the world. Zoa originally wanted to stay in the room in the Pokémon Center, but she was dragged along by Sakura. Maybe Sakura felt that children can't be so introverted all the time. Eminem didn't stop this either, letting Zoa feel the lively atmosphere. Moreover, Dongman Town is a small place, so it's unlikely that there will be people from the black organization. It's not that Eminem breasted her. Even if gin and vodka did come, Sakura could still fight them for dozens of rounds with a pink hammer, so Eminem came to the outside of the town with peace of mind. He was sent to the entrance of the town by people from Daodaosi shopping mall, and then he rode a motorcycle lizard to a place some distance away from the town. Perhaps because the insect catching boys also joined in the fun, there were no trainers near Dongman Town today. Eminem rarely spent most of the day. The Pokémon were training nearby. Only when a bottleneck was found, Eminem would step forward to guide him. Most of the time, Eminem was sitting on a portable table and chair, making potion scientific experiments, mainly because of the preparation of the vanilla potion that I had imagined before. As the experiment progresses, Eminem discovers that if his previous idea can be realized, this vanilla is likely to have a second function, allowing Pokémon to activate genetic skills that were not activated at birth originally. Eminem just wanted to concoct a potion that could absorb the opponent's motivational effect in battle, but as the research deepened, Eminem discovered more, because in essence, the effect of this potion is to make the Pokémon simulate the opponent's movements at the gene segment level. The opponent stimulates a certain ability gene segment, and it will also react. Furthermore, Eminem naturally discovered that this reaction seemed to also occur in genetic skills. The genetic skills that you have not inherited are also in a state similar to silence and cannot be activated through learning. However, if you can copy other Pokémon with this skill, when using the skill, if it has the same effect, it is likely that it can also stimulate its originally silent genetic skill gene segment. Note 1. Because this part of the skill gene is inherently different from other skills that can be learned, and when it comes to genetic skills, Amk is more familiar with it than ability gene segment. Once successful, compared to a battle potion, a potion that can compensate for genetic skills will obviously be more important, and will even have epoch-making significance for the training and cultivation of Pokémon. But just when Eminem was obsessed with pharmacy, the illustrated book suddenly rang. Some signal could still be received here, but it was already very poor. What's wrong? Asked Eminem. Hurry. Come back. The flowers on the street. Tomoyo's voice was intermittent, and then dropped directly due to signal reasons. Although he didn't know what was going on, Eminem could tell that something happened at the celebration. He quickly put the things away and called the Pokémon back. Then he got on a horse and hurried back all the way Dongman Town. As soon as he returned to the town, Eminem felt something was wrong, and regardless of whether he had a certificate or not, he rode directly to the main road of the celebration. Gradually, I finally heard the sound of performances, the cheers of people, and saw the falling petals. At first, Eminem thought that these petals were also part of the celebration, and he felt relieved that he did not hear any chaotic sounds. I quickly got off the motorcycle lizard. But the closer Eminem gets, the more he notices something unusual. The celebration is still going on, but the rain of petals on the street is getting bigger and bigger. It has even reached the level of hindering people's walking, but people on the street seemed not to notice anything unusual and continued to play music and dance. Note 1. After the release of the 9th generation, everyone discovered that imitate vanilla also has a role beyond combat. It can use the genetic skills of other Pokémon during a picnic. One thing to say, does this indirectly prove that Bendan's setting of skills and ability improvements come from the stimulation of genetic segments is very consistent with the worldview of Pokémon. There are still 3 days left in this month. Please vote. Please vote. Chapter 478 Celebration. Eminem also realized at this time that there was something wrong with the petals, and it was probably not arranged by Town. Otherwise, it would be no more than the calf, which would be too exaggerated in terms of celebration process and cost point. At the same time, the spectators and tourists on the street seemed to have lost their minds and did not realize anything was wrong. Instead, they were indulged in the carnival. Moreover, Eminem looked up at this time, trying to find the source of the petals, but he just felt dizzy and confused. So Eminem could only walk through the crowd with difficulty while squeezing his way to the place with the most people. The performance in Town seems a little strange. Of course it's strange. How can anyone scatter flower petals like this? Put me down quickly. No. Shinichi is still a child now. He must be held tightly during the celebration and cannot let go. Slim Shady. Eminem vaguely heard the strange conversation. Why are you here? A sneak attack on me, right? Sure enough, after squeezing over, Eminem saw a woman with long brown curly hair on the big float, where the judge's stand was, holding the struggling Conan. The identity of the other party is already very obvious. The judge's stand was also on the float, but now it was basically stuck in the petals. However, except for Conan and Yukiko, no one else seemed to notice that something was wrong. Everyone was still smiling and looking and concerned. Eminem was also a little surprised by this. It seems Yukiko is not simple either. Eminem doesn't find it strange that Conan can ignore hallucinations. After all, there are many strange things happening to him. But Yukiko actually. Then I thought about it. Eminem thought it was normal. Maybe it was hereditary. Huh. Eminem, are you still awake? Conan also noticed at this time that there was a figure in the crowd with obviously different actions. If he looked carefully, he still recognized the guy. Eminem? Where is Eminem? Yukiko put on a curious little girl look. Upon seeing this, Eminem jumped directly onto the float on the judge's stand, and sure enough, no one found it strange. Ah. Sure enough, you are that Eminem. Thank you very much for taking care of my little son. Yukiko looked at Eminem curiously. Hey, stop adding weird characters. Conan said angrily. What's going on here? Have you seen Zio AI and 2 female high school students? One of them may be dressed strangely. Eminem asked quickly. Hey, you were just talking about business and didn't say hello. Yukiko looked down. Aunt. Yukiko, just. When Eminem was about to say greetings, Yukiko interrupted with a little emotion. No. You have to call me sister. Eminem. Conan. Ahem. Sister Yukiko. It's master. Sister. Yukiko, did you see just now? That's pretty much it. We are heading towards the source of the petals. Yukiko replied with satisfaction. The source? Huh. Can you see the source? Amu said in surprise. Well, sister Yukiko can do that. Yukiko nodded and then seemed to be waiting for something. Eminem looked at Conan first and found that he also looked confused. He probably didn't know anything. After that, he said decisively, ahem. What direction did sister Yukiko see the source of? Since Conan can't count on him, let's just call him sister. Let me think about it. Sister, it's the direction of the bell tower. Yukiko deliberately acted like a girl thinking before applying. Thank you, Eminem said and immediately jumped off the float. Eminem looked around and finally gritted his teeth and let out a hoarse, go to the bell tower, Jung. Sha seemed to be confused at this time, and Eminem was not prepared to be so crafty. Hey, wait, I'm going to. Conan shouted quickly. No, children must act like children. Yukiko continued to hug him. That's right, nephew Conan. Keep an eye on the neighborhood. Just don't let anyone take advantage of the chaos to commit crimes. Eminem reminded Conan, although it would be difficult for a horse to run on such thick petals. But he immediately changed his mind and jumped directly onto the wall of the surrounding house and started crawling. Motorized lizards are also lizards and can crawl on walls, so they can climb mountains and ridges in the wild point. After traveling directly on the 3D road, Eminem quickly came to the bottom of the bell tower. But all he saw was Tomoyo looked anxious while operating a laptop down below, while on top of the bell tower, Sakura was dancing the seaweed dance, and at the very top of the bell tower, there was indeed a queen of sweet and cold beauty standing. She was constantly scattering petals, and after handfuls of petals left her hand, they turned into bursts of rain that swept across the town petals. As for the little wolf, he looked very frightened at this time, and did not dare to step forward at all. What's going on? Amu asked after running over. It's a bit bad. Sakura can't resist the intoxicating instinct of flower cards. Zyoka said with a headache at this time. So, it's flower card? What is the instinct of intoxication? Eminem asked quickly. Flower cards can make people immersed in a joyful and intoxicating atmosphere, losing their fighting spirit and basic judgment. Zyoka explained. But at this time, Sakura, who was dancing an unknown strange dance, had come to her senses, and at the same time, she was stunned and rushed towards the sweet and cold beauty queen again. Wait a minute. Before Zyoka could stop Sakura, the shy and Lengmedi queen still didn't resist, and just gave Sakura a hug. After letting go, Sakura started dancing again. This time it was the green onion dance. Really? Zyoka said, covering his head. At this time, Zyoka added indifferently, it's not too bad. At least the fire cards didn't come out together. You have the fire cards, right, Slim Shady? Don't say such horrible things. Eminem grinned as he thought about the petals filling the street. At this moment, Eminem could feel a sense of intimacy with Queen Cheyenne Lengmedi, so he asked Zyoka, flower card is of the earth attribute, right? That's right, but you. Zyoka was about to stop him, because Eminem had no magic power at all, and he might not be able to withstand the intoxicating effect of flower cards. I think we can try it, or do you have a better way? Eminem asked. Seeing that Zyoka didn't say anything, Eminem patted Yima and ran directly from the wall to the top of the bell tower. Seeing Eminem approaching, Cheyenne Lengmedi queen did not resist, but smiled and spread her arms. Judging from Sakura's previous situation, the person should have been confused by this time, otherwise Sakura would have picked her up with a hammer and said, return to your original appearance, instead of hugging her butt. At this moment, Eminem was only slightly aroused, not completely confused. Just, Eminem still took the initiative to hug him. Zyoka was already covering his face below, thinking that Eminem had also failed. Tomoyo showed the same indifference as Zyoka. Well, dancing is okay if two people dance together, haha. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 479 Yukiko. Chapter 477 Sweet I saw the Cheyenne Lengmedi queen incarnated by flower card hugging Eminem directly at this moment. At first, Zyoka secretly thought something was wrong, thinking that Eminem had also been tricked. However, Tomoyo keenly felt that something was wrong. There seems to be some difference. Tomoyo said in confusion. Yes, they are both hugs, but the feelings are different. The incarnation of flower cards as Cheyenne Lengmedi queen is about the same height as the real Cheyenne Lengmedi queen, both about 1.2 meters. But in terms of temperament, when the sweet cold beauty queen hugged Sakura, it was like an older sister coaxing her younger sister, even though she looks shorter, and hugging Eminem. No. To be precise, when you fall into Eminem's arms, it's like a daughter falling into her mother's arms. Sweet. Cheyenne Lengmedi queen also rubbed herself in Eminem's arms, among the clo cards. Some are aggressive, some are mischievous, and some are gentle. Point on the contrary to power card and sword card. Flower card is gentle. In her opinion, she is just adding to everyone's entertainment. No, a good child should also be considerate of others and stop in moderation. Eminem touched the head of Queen Cheyenne Lengmedi and educated him. Cheyenne. Although Cheyenne Lengmedi was a little aggrieved, she still lowered her head. Then I saw the Cheyenne Lengmedi queen reaching out her hand, and the petals on the street rolled back one after another and disappeared. Sakura came back to her senses at this time and was startled when she saw Eminem in front of the Cheyenne Lengmedi queen. Immediately I discovered that the queen of sweet cold beauty did not seem to be hostile, and at this moment, Cheyenne Lengmedi queen's figure gradually faded and she was actually sealed back into the form of the claw card. The slowly falling cards were directly picked up by Eminem and the Cheyenne Lengmedi queen above them even winked at Eminem. Sure enough, Eminem can also seal cards with earth attributes naturally. It's just that the aggressive ones like power card need to be defeated before they can be subdued, while the gentle ones like flower card can be persuaded directly. Tomoyo breathed a sigh of relief at first and then looked angrily at Eminem above. This would not be enough to cut the scene of Sakura's performance. You can't turn Eminem into Sakura, right? Seeing how easy it was for Eminem, Xiaolang resealed the flower card that he was helpless with. His face became serious for a while, and he turned and left without even saying hello. And the street returned to its original state at this time. The celebration continued, and the performance floats continued to tour. Although the atmosphere in the crowd had faded a bit and lacked the indulgence just now, it was still joyful, except for some highly inspired superpower trainers and ghost trainers. And there were some children, but no one felt any violation. Eminem and Sakura also hurried down to avoid being discovered later. Now that he has returned, Eminem went to watch the final performance competition with Tomoyo and the others. It is indeed a pure village rule competition and has almost nothing to do with the official gorgeous competition compared with the stage scoring rules of general glamour contests. The street performance glamour contest here is entirely based on street performances. It feels like a unique skill contest. However, Yukiko was eloquent at this time. Even this unprofessional rule was commented vividly, which made many coordinators feel honored and well deserved. After the game, or rather the celebration, Eminem and ZOAI were about to leave with Tomoyo and Sakura when they opened the car door and heard a familiar voice coming from behind. Brother Eminem, wait a minute. When Eminem heard this, his movements froze, and he turned around to find that it was Yukiko wearing sunglasses. Although he wears sunglasses, for the face-blind Eminem, there is not much difference. This long brown curly hair is the key to identifying him, not to mention, Conan was walking beside him with a speechless expression. The manager of the prodigy group, who was originally working as Tomoyo's driver, ignored the eldest lady and hurriedly greeted her, greeting her attentively. Miss Yukiko, why didn't you go to the dinner? Is there something wrong with your hospitality? No, I just came to see this younger brother. Yukiko said something to him with a smile. Chais felt speechless at this time, but she couldn't control her subordinate's pursuit of stars. It should be Mrs. Yukiko, right? Conan whispered. However, my mother gave me a sideways look and shut up immediately. ZOAI also reacted at this time and quickly stepped forward and shouted, Sister Yukiko, Conan, you did this on purpose. Tomoyo and Sakura were also a little surprised at this time. When did this child become so outgoing? You are Eminem's sister ZOAI, right? I heard our Conan mentioned you. Yukiko looked at ZOAI carefully. If Shinichi hadn't told her about it, she wouldn't have been able to tell that this was a girl of 17 or 18 years old. You are Tomoyo-chan and Sakura-chan, right? Yukiko said after looking at Tomoyo and Sakura. Amu was also a little surprised when he heard this. He didn't tell them their identities just now. Sakura looked full of energy and didn't find anything strange, but Tomoyo was already confused. I know Sonomi and Fujitaka. Yukiko saw Tomoyo's doubts and said matter-of-factly, do you still know my father? Sakura became confused this time. Onto Yuanmui is the head of Doji group, so it is not surprising that she would know the female star who was very popular at that time. Maybe she has some business dealings, which is normal. But Kinomoto Fujitaka, in Sakura's eyes, he is indeed a good father, but professionally, in Sakura's impression, her father is just an ordinary university archaeology professor and the useful brain has not been passed down to me yet. It would be strange to know any big stars. Of course, Fujitaka is an excellent archaeologist and one of the 7 knights I met. There was a look of memory in Yukiko's eyes. Sakura looked confused. Ahem. Conan interrupted with a dry cough, asking his mother not to say anything strange. As for the 7 knights and stuff, Eminem vaguely remembers that in the original work, Yukiko also described Black Feather Toichi in this way, that is, the missing father of the first generation kid and the current Kato kid. But Eminem had no idea who the other 6 people were, and whether they were Kudo Yusaku or not. But obviously in this world, there is Fujitaka among the 7 knights. Of course, Eminem knows that Mr. Fujitaka is not that simple. In Cardcaptor Sakura, he is the reincarnation of a part of Kurorido. Tomoyo had already said something, like I heard my mother mentioned it, I want to say hello to you on my mother's behalf, etc. It sounded like lies. Grrrr. Did Sonomi really say that? But you don't have to call me aunt. Just like Eminem, you can just call me sister. Yukiko directly called Sakura and Tomoyo a little embarrassed. After all, Yukiko had just called herself meet their parents. By the way, brother Amu and sisters Ioi, can you lend me a loan first? I have something I want to discuss with them. Yukiko said the reason for her visit. Eminem doesn't find it strange. After all, his son has become what he is now. Although, it's quite interesting. Yukiko even feels that it would be good to raise him again, but since he is like Team Flare, it was related, she still wanted to find an insider to confirm the situation. Dang dang. Tomorrow the little cat Orange with stomatitis will go to the pet hospital to have his teeth extracted. When I update at noon, it will be a few chapters, just a few chapters, and I will try to update a lot. Chapter 480 Apology. Yukiko took Eminem and ZOAI to a dessert shop and talked while eating. ZOAI had no scruples and told her story anyway, even if she didn't tell it. The most important ones, Conan knew that what she said was just to add details. Although she was talking about her disgraceful experience, ZOAI still had an expression on her face that said, "You are so proud of me, what can I do?" However, Eminem felt that this was ZOAI's pretense. In fact, she was afraid that others would accuse her of this, so she acted like she didn't care. I see. So you developed a PTX 4869, and then you left the dark organization in Team Flare because of your sister's incident? Yukiko said, putting down the straw she was using just now. ZOAI's expression remained unchanged, but her heart became nervous. Imagine if it were her mother. If someone harmed her or her sister to become like this, she would definitely not let it go now, nor would she betray the dark organization. It can be cleaned. Even Conan was thinking about whether he should stop his mother appropriately and abuse her for half an hour. At least don't use violence. However, at the next moment, Yukiko rushed over with a distressed look on her face, grabbed ZOAI's hand and said, "How pitiful. To actually use such a cute girl to do that kind of thing. The dark organization is so abominable, Conan." ZOAI was also in a daze for a while. What is going on with this woman? Are you trying to be generous on purpose to embarrass me? Haha, are you overestimating my lower limit? You go to Team Flare and ask about me. Surely, the next moment, ZOAI was hugged by Yukiko. Don't worry. Shinichi is very powerful. He will definitely destroy the dark organization, destroy Team Flare, and avenge your sister. Then you won't have to hide around anymore. By the way, I also know a very powerful super trainer. Maybe he can awaken your sister, Conan. Conan suddenly became unbalanced and muttered in a low voice, "Well, it might be too much to say the culprit, but mom, think about it for a moment. Is it possible that what happened to me now and ZOAI actually, a little bit, just..." In the middle of the sentence, Yukiko let go of ZOAI and gave him a sideways glance. "Zio-zin, your mother never taught you to be a child who cannot forgive women's mistakes, Conan." Isn't that what happened? ZioAI was stunned at this moment and immediately said, fake crying, dense fog. Sister Yukiko, you are so kind. Conan has always been mean to me before, and I didn't dare to get close to him. Blah blah blah. Conan. Xiaoxin, you can't. Come on, let's apologize to Xiaoi first. Yukiko took advantage of the situation and acted as if she was trying to stop a fight with the child. Conan. Looking at this tragic scene, Eminem couldn't help but said, no, Sister Yukiko, don't be too spoiled to ZioAI. Well, after Conan apologizes, let ZioAI also apologize to each other. Apologizing to each other is such a waste. Why should I apologize first? No, why should I apologize? Conan asked, punching Eminem hard. But when your identity is discovered, don't you have to apologize to Xiaolan? Eminem deliberately changed the subject. That's right, I heard that you and Xiaolan are still together. Huh. Yukiko had a teasing expression at this time, but mid-sentence, the picture book rang. Hello, Hiromi. That's right, I'll be there right away. Sorry, it's a little late. Yukiko said and went to answer the phone. What? Together? Eminem took the opportunity to ask Conan. None of your business. Conan said angrily. This perverted brat must have taken the opportunity to take a bath with a girl. Maybe he even entered the women's bath. ZioAI said immediately. I didn't go into the women's bath. Oh. So we really took a shower together? ZioAI said in surprise. But this is a matter between me and Xiaolan, and what you are talking about is completely different. Conan said while blushing. Eminem and ZioAI said together at this time. Oh. Are you sure, Conan? Of course, we don't mean to threaten you. We are just afraid that one day we will spill the beans. Eminem added. The two of them squeezed Conan for a while, as if they really wanted him to apologize. It wasn't until Yukiko came back that ZioAI, thinking, she whispered to Conan in a voice that Eminem couldn't hear, I'm sorry. Conan was stunned when he heard this, wondering if he heard it wrong. At this moment, Eminem's mouth curled up slightly. Yukiko came back and asked, Xiaoxin, have you apologized? Yeah. We apologized to each other. ZioAI deliberately pretended to be a child. Yukiko obviously knows what's going on, but she really likes children. My sister is going to a friend's house later. Her house is very big. Do you want to come together? Yukiko asked proactively at this time. Forget it, let's. Amu instinctively refused. It would be fine if there was only Yukiko, but the key is that there is Conan. Something is obviously going to happen. Does Yukiko really not understand her son? Or should it be written as friend's house or Ida's enemy's lair? Actually, I want your help. Forget it, it's nothing. Then, beep. Beep. This time, when Yukiko was halfway through her words, Eminem's illustrated book received a call. I'm sorry, I'll answer it. Eminem saw that it was Long Yi's call. What's wrong, barrister? Eminem asked after getting through. Amu, I heard from teacher Yingli that you are in Dongman Town. Long Yi asked anxiously. Yeah. Eminem also wondered why the news spread so quickly. Well, after Sonoko found out where Amu was, she proposed to leave for Johto. Xiaolan agreed and would naturally tell her mother before leaving. By the way, Eri also knew about it. Great. Eminem, can you do me a favor? In fact, the teacher introduced me to a job, which is not difficult. It is to do property notarization for a wealthy family in Dongman Town. I only need to do property notarization after the funeral. In front of the family, just read his suicide note normally. Long Yi asked, but I'm not a lawyer. This can't be done by anyone, right? Eminem wondered. It's like this. I will connect to you when the time comes and issue a guarantee letter to you. Just leave all the process matters to me. Long Yi explained. What are you doing now? Eminem was a little confused. Aunt Yingli introduced him to a job, so it should be. This kid has no job and is about to starve to death, right? Why haven't you come yet? Can it be more reliable? A friend of mine was recently involved in a murder case. The trial will be held tomorrow morning. Long Yi gave a reason that made people have to forgive him. Chapter 481. Isn't it a coincidence? That's it. I have to defend him tomorrow morning, and the funeral is tomorrow, so I may not be able to make it there tonight. But I will try my best to make it there tomorrow, and no matter whether I can arrive or not, the commission for this work will all belong to you. I will also treat you to dinner. How about it? Long Yi said humbly. Point Slim Shady. Why is it that this lawyer, who usually doesn't even have a job, is always reckless enough to litigate murder cases? Okay. Eminem agreed after knowing the reason. Point anyway, it's in Dongman Town, and it's tomorrow, so it won't waste any time. Point as for income, Eminem openly decided not to take advantage of the situation, but to be with him half the time. After all, this guy didn't seem to have much income. As for the friend's lawsuit, if he had money to take it, he wouldn't go to him, but 2 meals are indispensable. Well, Eminem counted it very clearly. Long Yi said that he wanted to treat himself to a meal. How could he also have a meal, by the way? Seeing that Eminem agreed, Long Yi was very moved and told him the address. He could go today or tomorrow. The Yabuichi family on the outskirts of town. Okay, I understand. After making an appointment with Long Yi, Eminem hung up the phone. Point. As soon as Eminem put down the illustrated book, Yukiko asked, the Yabuichi family? What are you and your friends talking about? Although Eminem didn't go too far, they communicated in a low voice. Yukiko didn't hear anything, but the word Yabuichi family was very sensitive to her. Seeing Eminem's confused look, Yukiko said, actually, my sister's friend is from the Yabuichi family outside the town. Is it the family on the outskirts of town? Slim Shady. If he had known about it earlier, Eminem would have given up this bad job. Haha, haha, such a coincidence. It's a lawyer friend. He wants to notarize the property of the Yabuichi family, but he was caught up in a murder case. Please help him connect and transfer to witness. Eminem's face froze. Lawyer? Is it Long Yi? Conan also reacted. Point after all, in Conan's impression, the only lawyers Eminem knew were Aunt Yingli and Long Yi. Yingli has an assistant, and as a famous lawyer, there is no need to ask Eminem for help. Point such a novice-like thing sounds like something Long Yi can do. Yeah. Amu nodded. He is really related to the murder case. Conan muttered. Point Eminem stared at Conan. Is this even worthy of his words? Suddenly his expression changed and he said, actually, you should think about your brother Long Yi and advertise to the murderer the next time you solve the case. Don't forget that Long Yi also saved you when we were on the Santino. Although Long Yi is more suitable for the kind of unjust, false and wrongly convicted, but it is necessary to occasionally take on cases that lower the sentence to make a living. When Conan heard this, he remembered what happened on the Santino. It is said that, just when Xiaolan was about to use her mouth, Long Yi was worried that the girl had no strength and pushed her aside. Point thinking about it now, Conan feels pain in his chest, and this just saved me. Faced with Conan's questioning look, Eminem added, if Xiaolan comes to perform cardiopulmonary resuscitation, maybe when she gets nervous, she will go all out and break your ribs. Conan. It's really impossible to refute, but don't you think it's a bit too much to expose someone's crime first and then hire a lawyer for them? Those who don't know think this is some planned industrial chain. Conan complained secretly in his heart. Point and Yukiko had already said at this time, it seems that brother Eminem can only go with us. That's fine. Eminem didn't insist on being there again tomorrow night. Point after all, since Long Yi was promised, arriving early would be considered a help, and Eminem also doesn't know when the custom in Chengdu is to start the banquet. So Eminem called Tomoyo directly and told her that he and Zioai would not return to the Pokémon Center tonight. Then he and Yukiko went to Yabuichi's house on the outskirts of town. Point. When we arrived at the entrance of the town, there was still some distance from Yabuichi's house, but there was no way for taxis. The group also got down and released the riding Pokémon. What surprised both Eminem and Yukiko was that the other party also had a motorcycle lizard. What surprised Eminem even more was that Yukiko's motor lizard was obviously an on-man single-seater, and she reached out and stuffed Conan into her clothes. Slim Shady. So this kind of operation still exists. Hey, mom, what are you doing? Conan struggled. It's okay that no one saw it before, but now Eminem is here. Really? Why are you so shy? Ziad asks in. Have you forgotten? Isn't this how I always brought you up when you were a child? Yukiko said matter-of-factly. Eminem looked at Zhao AI. Zhao AI felt his gaze and turned around to give him a "what the hell are you looking at" look. Eminem also gave up the seemingly warmer carrying method. Soon the four of them arrived at Yabuichi's house. The so-called suburbs of the town were actually outside the town. It was closer to the town than where Eminem trained. The wireless signal was already very poor, but when this house was built, it should already connected to underground cable. Fortunately, Eminem looked at the sky, and it didn't look like it was going to be stormy. Otherwise the element would have been too. Conan. The person who welcomed Yukiko in was a woman who looked quite young. If she said middle-aged, the other party would definitely be dissatisfied, but the traces of time could indeed be clearly seen on her face. Of course, looking at the scene and conversation between the other party and Yukiko's old friend, it can be seen that the two should be the same age. Yes, that's right. This is the little son my husband and I gave birth to in Hezhang. Yukiko introduced Conan like this. Your relationship is really good, Guangmui said in surprise. Although Conan was worried about being exposed, he could only bite the bullet and said, "Hello, Aunt Guangmui." Then, these two are. Hiromi felt that Eminem looked nothing like Shinichi, and the other child's hair color was very similar to Yukiko's, so he couldn't be. Oh, by the way, this is my brother Eminem. He is a very powerful trainer. And, this time it was his friend Lawyer Longyi who accepted the entrustment from his adopted uncle to witness the will, and asked him to help him first. So we came together. Hey, I didn't expect my adopted uncle. Yukiko also just found out that her adopted uncle passed away. She wasn't here for a feast this time. In fact, she heard the news about the death of her adoptive relative. She was a good friend who asked her to ask her for help. Mainly she asked her husband Yuzo, but recently she was talking to Yuzo. If you have a bad temper, you will do it on your own. Yukiko was also worried that she might not be able to figure out something that required reasoning, so she pulled her son over. I see, here's a friend of Lawyer Longyi. I'm glad to meet you. Guangmui shook hands with Eminem. For Ayucha's sake, Yukiko and Amu didn't immediately say he might not be able to come. After all, what if he could make it? So I just said help with docking in advance. By the way, Hiromi, what you said before? Yukiko asked curiously. Hiromi didn't say what she wanted to help with yet, but she just guessed that it must be related to reasoning. Otherwise she wouldn't be able to let Yukiko bring her husband with her. Actually, it's like this. I have an uncle, my adoptive uncle. We often played with him when we were children. Do you still remember him? Guangmui asked, a little embarrassed at this time. Of course. Uncle foster brother likes to play with children very much. I remember that I was not in elementary school at that time. We would often hide and seek in the backyard with uncle foster brother. Yukiko recalled. Conan knew that he would need to reason for a while, so he remembered the key points and said, yeah, that happened more than 30 years ago. Oops. Although Kagoro was not around, he was still punished by Iron Fist. Dong dong. I will take the cat to the hospital in the afternoon. It depends on the specific situation. In chapter 3, there may or may not be, but I still ask for monthly votes. Please monthly votes. Please monthly votes. Chapter 482 Padaya. Guangmui, are there any guests? A short old man heard the voice and came over and asked. Hiromi was startled with a guilty conscience at first and then said, ah, Uncle Yifeng, this is Yukiko. When we were children, before you went to Padua, you often came to my house to play with me. Do you still remember? Hearing this, the old man looked at Yukiko carefully and then said impatiently, how long ago was that? I don't remember. Carlos, let's go. The old man said, calling a young man with dark skin and strong body, and walked out of the door together. Yukiko, who had just greeted her, felt slightly embarrassed. What's wrong with the adopted uncle? Yukiko didn't say it out loud. In her impression, the adopted uncle should be more kind. That's it. We can't be sure whether he is the foster uncle himself or some bad guy pretending to be him. That's why we wanted to invite Mr. Yusaku over. Hiromi said helplessly. Hey, what's going on? Yukiko still didn't understand what was going on. At this time, a middle-aged man came over and said, to put it simply, it's because of the inheritance. Guangmei felt that her husband was a little too direct. Is there anything that can't be said? Isn't that what it is? Uncle foster brother went to Pattaya 30 years ago, and he only had some correspondence with us, and no photos. After my father-in-law passed away, he came back immediately, but we really don't know him. Hiromi, you also said that his personality has changed a lot, so it's normal for us to have doubts, right? Zio said what he was worried about come out. I see. Yukiko understood clearly after hearing this, and then looked at Zyarks in point. Of course, even Conan couldn't see anything from this. As for why you only write letters and not make videos, because in the Padir area, there is no signal at all from the outside world. Generally speaking, although wireless signals are difficult to transmit in this world, the few artificial satellites can still achieve global communication, but they must be in towns. But Padir is not among them. Padir Island not only has a special ecology, but also has many supernatural features. For example, if viewed from a satellite, the entire Padir Island is a huge crater in the sea. Humanity only discovered this place after launching satellites. When they first saw this huge crater, people started talking about it, thinking it was caused by some mythical beast. However, then people discovered, if observed directly with the naked eye, this is an island with a strange ecology, and it is not a giant crater, just an island. There is indeed a huge pit in the center, for unknown reasons. When viewed from satellites, the entire island is a crater and looks very abrupt in the sea. The peculiarity of the island's environment is that the island, which is only a quarter of the size of the Kanto region, is covered with deserts, icebergs, snowfields, inland sea lakes, gobi, mountains, basins, various landforms and climates. The magical environment naturally gave birth to magical Pokémon, such as Motor Lizard, which is a specialty of Padia. As for the big hole, there are even more divergent opinions. Eminem doesn't know the specific situation, and there are no concrete records on the internet. Perhaps it is due to the influence of this huge pit that wireless signal connections can still be made inside Padia Island, but wireless connections within and outside the island have been unable to be achieved. Artificial satellites cannot receive here. The signals on the island are also maintained by tall towers. However, Padia Island was only discovered more than 100 years ago. Because of its special environment and rich resources, it has indeed been attracting people with a pioneering spirit to immigrate. Especially in recent decades, the island's infrastructure has been completed, and it was so dangerous before. Before that, going to Padia was no different from going to the wilds. Between the major alliances that Adachi Group built 2 Pokémon ranches in Padia. The adopted man must have jumped on this trend, and went to Padia Island when he was young. That Carlos is the son of the adopted uncle? Yukiko asked curiously at this time. No, it was the bodyguard he hired. Guangmei was a little dissatisfied when talking about this. I probably think one of us will harm him, Zio said at this time. By the way, Uncle Yitham's Pokémon. Yukiko presented another piece of ironclad evidence. Those who Guangmei and the others saw when they were young are either dead or too old, and can only be recuperated in the nursery. None of them were brought back by him. Zio immediately revealed another doubtful point. However, Guangmei added at this time, Uncle foster brother also brought Pokémon. They are all Pokémon from Padia, and 2 of them are indeed what Uncle foster brother mentioned in the letter. His ranch, the Pokémon we focus on cultivating here. Conan did not feel relieved because of this, which can only show that, if the adopted house is true, then it must be someone who knows him very well. Afterwards, Eminem and Yukiko also met several other members of the family, namely Hiromi's younger brother Yoshiyuki, younger sister-in-law Kiko, and stepmother Michiko. To put it simply, except for Sister Zuko's friends, everyone is really evil. I complained to Eminem when there were no outsiders. In short, as expected, everyone showed interest in heritage, and every one of them was weird. After learning that Eminem was a friend of lawyer Longyi, everyone wanted to leave their contact information with him privately, but Eminem refused. In fact, it's not all these people's fault. After all, the timing of Eminem's arrival is so strange that it inevitably makes people feel like this. lawyer is targeting me. If they can bribe the witness lawyer to obtain greater inheritance rights, then they will be happy to do so. But in fact, they obviously thought too much. According to Mr. Yikin's last wish, his electronic version of his suicide note will be released at 10 PM on the day of the funeral. Anyone who is not present at that time will be deemed to have given up the qualification. Perhaps it was this kind of rule that gave the adopted house a sense of crisis and even hired bodyguards. Conan had already gone to the warehouse to look for the letters and photos that Mr. Yifen had sent back from Padia in his early years. And Eminem, by the way, Miss Guanmi, can you show me your father's photos, preferably videos, and used utensils during his lifetime? Eminem offered. Of course. Xiaomi was a little confused at first, but then she agreed. Seeing this, Xiaomi wondered, what are you looking at those for? Aren't you here to make a living? Who told you? Of course I'm here to help. Although I'm not good at identifying whether it is a real person, but I'm good at identifying blood relationships. Eminem said proudly. Xiaomi was a little surprised when she heard this. She didn't know that Eminem was good at genetics, but that was to command Pokémon to activate genetic skills. How could it be also effective in identifying human blood relationships? We need to know that the genes of humans in this world are also relatively complicated. Modern times have made breakthroughs in tracing the origins of on-site legacy, but when it comes to identifying brothers, there is no certainty. And what Eminem has to do, it's not a special ability, but Noah itself has a very strong bloodline identification function, which has even broken away from the scope of genetics. From external factors such as appearance, he can analyze descendants of several generations or even further back, as well as ancestors even further back. Just compare whether there is a blood relationship between the adopted relative and the current adopted roommate, and you can naturally know his identity. Dang. After today's pre-operative examination, Orange stayed at the pet hospital. Tomorrow's surgery. I guess the third update will be very difficult, and 9 times out of 10 it will be the second update. It was quite late when I got home today. I have just finished writing this chapter in the update. The reason why I posted it is to encourage myself. I will go to the pet hospital tomorrow morning. There will definitely be only one chapter at noon, and I stayed up late to write it, but I still ask for monthly votes. Please monthly votes. Please monthly votes. Chapter 483 Bloodline Identification. Comparing the kinship relationship. The comparison was unsuccessful. Within the deducible range, there is no blood relationship. I saw Noah's eyes flashing for a while, and then he got this result. It's really a fake. Upon seeing this, Eminem immediately confirmed it. After all, this is Noah's bloodline identification. Even in the less mysterious original work of Conan, Noah's Ark identified the modern descendants of Jack the Ripper more than 200 years later. Huh. What are you going to do? Zio Whale stopped Eminem, who was about to get up. Of course I'm going to expose him. Eminem said matter-of-factly. Just, you see it's Zio said, taking a look at some of the relics and photos of the adoptive relatives that Guanmi had sent before. Eminem just said that he analyzed it by himself, or took out Noah, or said that it was analyzed by this huge polygon. I'm afraid others won't accept it. Even if this polygon is really big, then I'll let Zio Shen say it. Just say she discovered it. Eminem said with great imagination. Well, if it were a mythical beast, everyone would definitely accept it. If it announced something, only you just asked Lightning Bird to help you fake it, right? Zio said mercilessly. Then, let Noah talk to her? Forget it. Amu gave up the idea. Because Eminem had already made up his mind. After he made this request to Zio Shan directly gave him the imaginary picture. In various senses, this idea is still not open to the public. Forget it. Then I'll go find Conan. At least I can turn the solution question into a proof question. Eminem made a decisive decision. Anyway, Eminem doesn't think of himself as a detective, and he doesn't have any addiction to solving puzzles or having to find the proof process. Now that he knows the truth, just remind Conan, what is the adopted house a fake one? Where did you hear about it? Conan asked, full of doubts. After hearing what Eminem said, I made my own judgment. Amu said confidently. Huh? What's the basis? Of course Conan didn't accept this statement. It's the special ability of my Pokémon. Eminem didn't explain much about Noah Point, because this is not only related to the Dark Organization, but also related to the Schindler Group. Eminem is still waiting for the Schindler Group to run Noah's Ark, to give himself a chance to complete Noah, so he doesn't want to alert the snake. What? Pokémon? And the ability to judge whether it's my own. Conan wondered. The secret is not to directly determine whether it is the real person, but to determine that the adopted brother is not the blood brother of the deceased adopted relative. Eminem said with certainty. Although Eminem said it was a secret, Conan found it difficult to falsify it, and was even a little inclined to believe it, because Eminem had some weird Pokémon, which seemed to be normal. That's strange. I just found a letter from my adoptive relative 2 years ago. The handwriting is indeed the same as the current foster relatives. Not only is the wound on his foot consistent with the old injury of his adoptive parent when he was young, but also his Pokémon, an insect king unique to Padia, was the same as the news that his adopted relatives had just arrived in Padia. It was a different colored insect king. It's easy to get the same thing, Conan said, rubbing his head in distress. Eminem also had doubts after hearing this, not to mention old wounds and handwriting in recent years. The heterochromatic beetle saint is not so easy to find, although it is said that money can make the world go round. The person who could really find the heterochromatic insect beetle saint in a short period of time was working so hard for a fraction of the Yabuachi family's property. Eminem doesn't think the Yabuachi family is so rich. In fact, Eminem has also confirmed that the so-called heritage is just a few ranches and forest farms on the outskirts of Dangman Town Point. Although Eminem doesn't even have a house, it doesn't stop him from thinking that the Yabuachi family doesn't have much money. They are just ordinary rich people. Could it be that Guangmu's grandma is actually no, half mother and half father are not related by blood? Could it be that she was hugged by the wrong person? Eminem thought of another possibility. Conan glanced at him and said, I've seen old photos of the adopted brother-in-law and adopted brothers. They look so much like each other when they were young. Eminem didn't know what was going on for the time being, so he had to suppress his thoughts first. After Eminem refused other people's requests to add their contact information, no one at home paid any attention to him. Some people were even prepared to make a fuss if Guangmui and his wife received more property during the notarization by the lawyer tomorrow. However, Hiromi was still very enthusiastic. She arranged rooms for both Eminem and Yukiko and boiled bath water. This is the most authentic Firestorm hot spring soup in Dangman Town, made by Firestorm Beast. Guangmui said proudly. Fireman, the 3 royal families in the Johto area, fire Pokémon. What is different from ordinary fire type Pokémon is that the fire of fire monster is more like the fire of cold turtle and fire breathing camel. It is a magma fire rather than an ordinary open flame. Therefore, people in the old city area generally believe that the bath water burned by the fire beast is very authentic and has all kinds of miraculous effects like natural hot springs. Xiaoxin, do you still remember taking a bath with your mother when you were a child? It's still the same as before. Don't even think about it. Yukiko teased her son, and after being rejected, she took Xiaoai to take a bath with her well, in order not to cause trouble for others. Of course Eminem took Conan with him. In addition, as an adopted brother from the old city, he would not miss the hot springs. In the memories of Yukiko and Hiromi, the adopted uncle really liked the fire beast hot spring. Speaking of which, the foster brother won't come in with his bodyguards, right? This barrel shouldn't be able to hold it. After Conan came in, he asked Eminem, who knows, the two soon found out. Later, when the foster family was taking a bath, he deliberately gathered all the others in the lobby of the house and asked Carlos to stare at them. Because when Eminem was doing a blood test for them, a mysterious person did indeed attack the foster family with Pokémon. At that time, the seed machine gun shot through the wooden door and attacked the foster family. Fortunately, although the shot missed, and when he wanted to open the door to find the murderer, the Pokémon that shot him had disappeared. So, now everyone has accepted Carlos' surveillance in order to prove their innocence. Of course, this has nothing to do with Eminem. The reason why he is here is because he has something he wants to investigate. Well, if all possible prisoners are under surveillance, they will naturally be safe. Is this an idea? But Eminem still felt something was strange. So, Eminem took advantage of the fact that everyone was here and tapped the USB flash drive in his jacket pocket. Eminem is ready to identify the blood relationship of the other people in this room. Dang dang. Juju just came out of the operating room and is still on the drip. I don't know what time I will go home, so it's hard to tell me the update. Please give me a monthly pass. Please give me a monthly pass. Chapter 484 Last Words. October 22nd. Late point. Nearly 24 hours have passed since Eminem checked the blood relationship of Yorne's whole family. Point. It was almost 10 o'clock, which was the time when the will was made public. Point. Not only did lawyer Ryuichi not show up, but also Mr. Yoshiichi's second wife Michiko, his daughter-in-law Kiko, and his brother Yifan, whose identity is doubtful. And Conan was a guest. All disappeared one after another, but instead, Carlos is still here inexplicably. After he found out that his adopted house was missing, he wanted to leave anxiously to look for her, but he was pushed back by Eminem. No one else knew what Eminem said to him. Point. They just complained inexplicably in their hearts. What kind of bodyguard is this? The employer is gone, so who else is there to stare at? This is such a stupid guy. Apart from looking fierce, he can't stand up to anything at all. Guangmui proposed to repay Junsha, but was stopped by others. Every reason is very upright. He is such an adult and not a child. Why should he report to Junsha after he has been missing for a few hours? What? A child was also lost. This should be going to play nearby, right? Of course. In fact, outsiders like Eminem can see that their original intention is, as long as it's past 10 o'clock, those who don't come back will have no share. Hiromi was originally angry because of her husband's dissuasion, but now her brother and Yukiko started to persuade her. Hiromi then stopped and did not retaliate for the time being. After all, Hiromi did not want her brother to mistakenly think that she was ostracizing her sister-in-law. That's why I wanted to call the police immediately. Point. As for the young stepmother, Hiromi and her younger brother didn't recognize her in the first place. If she doesn't come back, she won't come back. If you don't know whether the uncle is real or fake, you can wait until the will is read out before talking about it. As for Conan, Yukiko also said that she was going out to play and didn't need to worry about it. Why aren't lawyer Longyi here? It's almost 10 o'clock. Ziyu urged Eminem anxiously at this time. I've already contacted him. How about we wait a little later? Eminem looked distressed at this time. Of course not. Are you kidding me? Is this something you can decide on your own? It must be done according to your father's last wish, said his younger brother Yi, crossing angrily at this time. Hey, okay, if lawyer Longyi hasn't arrived yet at 10 o'clock, we will start the online remote notarization. But although it is in line with the procedures, after all, it is better for lawyer Longyi to arrive, otherwise or. Eminem's tone was very difficult. No, it must start at 10 o'clock. It doesn't matter if lawyer Longyi comes or not. Ziyu and Yoshiyuki hurriedly finalized the decision. Point. Seeing how active they were, Eminem had no choice but to agree. Point. But at 9:55, there was a knock on the door of the house. Guangmui quickly opened the door, only to see Longyi finally rushing over. It seemed that his friend's matter had been resolved. Sorry, Longyi just started, and Eminem immediately interrupted. Ahem. Longyi, it's a good thing you're here, otherwise we would have to make an exception for remote notarization for them. Ah. Longyi was stunned when he heard this. Is this matter so reasonable? That's right. Please Mr. Longyi. Thanks to lawyer Longyi for being timely. Okay, it's almost time. Let's start quickly. When Hiromi saw her brother Yoshiyuki and her husband Hidua, she was so anxious that she forgot to pursue the matter of the lawyer was late and couldn't help but feel a little depressed. Point. At the same time, Longyi stopped delaying and took out the information he had prepared long ago. This is Mr. Yikin's will, with a written backup, a local electronic archive, and a network cloud archive. Next, we will follow Mr. Yikin's last wish, Longyi said, looking at the time, and then continued. And at 10 PM sharp, the contents will be announced in Addition, I would like to confirm that according to Mr. Yikin's last wish, no matter what the reason, people who are not here at this time, even if they are in the will lose their inheritance qualifications. Do you have any objections? If there are others who have not arrived. If so, I can help them apply online. No need. Just follow your father's wishes. Xiu said quickly. Husband. Guangmui said dissatisfied. However, the younger brother Yoshiayuki on the side also nodded sharply, after hesitating for a moment. Okay, then I'll just play Mr. Yikin's audio will. Long Yi was a little confused about their attitude. He glanced at Eminem, who had already arrived, and found that he was also giving him a look of hurry. The way it plays, so Long Yi pressed the play button. Just listen to an aging voice. All the property of Yabuichi Yabuchi will belong to the following 6 people. My son Yoshiayuki, daughter-in-law Kiko, daughter Hiromi, son-in-law Hidekazu, wife Machiko, and nephew Carlos. The 6 people present will share equally. Carlos, nephew. How is that possible? And there is no foster uncle. What's happening here? Isn't this a lie? I've long thought that Long Yi didn't know what was strange about this will. He only heard someone questioning the authenticity, so he immediately retorted. This will was notarized by Mr. Yikin, and there are paper backups and network backups. There is absolutely no problem. You guys, if you want to appeal, you can go to the Alliance Agency. But, who are you? Yi Crossing stared anxiously at Carlos, who still looked dumb. Don't be impatient yet, Amu said, pressing Yi Crossing's shoulders and asking him to sit down. Before Yi Crossing could strike again, Eminem started communicating with Carlos in sign language. Carlos's Hiromi was stunned upon seeing this. Originally, everyone thought that Carlos' dumb look was due to the professionalism of a bodyguard. But now I saw Carlos shaking his head and nodding, and then quickly asked Eminem something in sign language. Yes, Carlos is actually a deaf mute, and he is the orphan of his foster uncle in the Padia region. Eminem said. Orphan? Guangmui was very surprised and asked, then the uncle who was the foster he is the partner of the foster uncle. They run a ranch together. However, in a disaster a few years ago, the uncle's leg became lame and the foster uncle lost his right hand. Therefore, in recent years, the foster uncle's letters, all ghostwritten by him, Padia, is indeed full of opportunities, but also very dangerous. Not long ago, the ranch suffered another disaster. The adopted uncle passed away, and Mr. Adopted Brother also knew about it, and I knew that Mr. Foster was in Padia, married to a black lady from Alala, and gave birth to Carlos, who was born with a disability. It was precisely because he knew that Mr. Foster had passed away, the ranch was seriously damaged, and he needed money in order to let Carlos, the nephew, is better off, and Mr. Carlos's name was also included in his will. As for the previous uncle, it was because someone sent a threatening letter to the Foster family. He was worried that the speechless Carlos would be in danger, so he pretended to be the Foster family himself to attract everyone's attention, and asked Carlos to pretend to be his bodyguard, make sure he can be there. Eminem recounted these things at this time point after discovering that Carlos was actually a family with the other people in the temple. Eminem probably understood something and went to find the fake house to show off. At this moment, Conan ran back in a hurry, saw Long Yi, and stopped him hastily. Wait. Don't notarize it yet. Huh. I've already notarized it. Long Yi looked at Conan inexplicably. What? Damn it. But you should be able to appeal, right? Uncle Foster Brother was invited out on purpose, so he missed it. Conan suddenly realized that everyone was looking at him strangely. Dang. These are the 2 updates today. Please give me monthly votes. Please give me monthly votes. It's the last day. Don't keep any more. Chapter 485 Companions of Justice. Then the adopted uncle is now. No, he is the companion of the adopted uncle. Where are they now? There are also stepmother and sister-in-law. Guangmui asked worriedly at this time. I think we should have found someone. Eminem shrugged. As soon as Eminem finished speaking, Conan barged in with a skateboard, jumped on the wall, and shouted to stop him. But it was still a step too late. That's right. Conan wasn't here just now because he was looking for the 3 of them. No. Mr. Yikin made it very clear that when the will is announced at 10 o'clock, it can only be done here. The two of them were not here when the will was announced. Of course, they will not have a share. Eminem refused directly road point by the way, I added, and I guess the reason why the two of them disappeared was not because they got lost, but because of themselves. Haha, if someone really appeals, I will testify for this. When Eminem spoke, staring at Yixing point seeing what Eminem said, Yi Kosing, who was about to speak, quickly stopped. You already knew. Wait, you said two people. Conan was confused. He did not decipher the false identity of Uncle Foster, but, following the clues, he discovered the person who had previously sent threatening letters to Uncle Foster. There are two versions of the threatening letter, and now it seems that it was sent by Machiko and Kiko. Moreover, the two of them had previously falsely claimed to have discovered the false identity of the adopted room and asked him out. In fact, they wanted to trap him and prevent him from coming back in time. Butte under Eminem's reminder, the Foster family, who had known about it for a long time, instead took advantage of the situation and trapped the three of them together. Now Conan has rescued three people, and the local juncture is also handling the matter, which means the inheritance rights of Machiko and Kiko were extinguished together with the inheritance rights of the adopted house that did not exist in the first place. Conan also noticed at this time that everyone's expressions seemed a little strange. What's wrong? Conan asked in confusion. Xiaoxin, brother Eminem is so powerful just now. He has proven that Mr. Yifen is actually pretending, and Mr. Carlos is one of the real heirs and is the cousin of Aunt Hiromi and the others. Yukiko said. Explain to Conan. Conan then realized that it was no wonder that Eminem had no intention of helping him all day today. It turned out that he had known for a long time that something was wrong. I'm afraid it's not just knowing. Conan thought about the situation of those three people at that time. Machiko once again wrote a threatening letter and made an appointment with a sister-in-law. She also had the most ruthless heart. In the warehouse, where she made the appointment, she lurked the dream demon and prepared to make a murderous move. But at the same time, Kiko also threatened her adopted brother to come out, but she was a little softer. She just wanted to use the pumpkin monster to trap him, so that he would miss the announcement of his will. Result, but the fake foster home took advantage of him, because one of the two Pokémon in the false house is Flutter, a Pokémon unique to Padia, that looks very similar to Dream. With the help of Flop with the power of Far, the fake foster home caused Kiko and Machiko to kill each other, although the two of them reacted quickly. After all, if you look carefully, there is still a difference between Flapping Hair and Dream Demon. It was just that it was too dark in the warehouse at first, so they didn't notice it. But when they realized it, the fake house has sealed the warehouse door with majestic teeth. In the end, Conan arrived with local juncture and interrupted the other two, who joined forces to attack the fake sworn house. But all three of them missed the announcement of the will. Conan originally thought this was the case, but now it seems that the fake foster home was probably intentional, and it was probably discussed with Eminem, because the reason why they threatened the fake foster home was to ask him to explain clearly why the handwriting of the correspondence had changed a few years ago. You should know that the letters that were too early have not been preserved at all. In other words, the reason why they were suspicious must have been hinted by someone. Conan glared at Eminem angrily. But Eminem didn't care. After confirming the situation with Conan, he told Colossus in sign language that his uncle was only taken by Junsha for investigation. A lot of evidence can show that he was deliberately attacked by others and just resisted. If it doesn't work, we still have lawyers here. After Carlos understood it, he breathed a sigh of relief and showed a relieved expression. Then Eminem also told him that he got a quarter of the property, which was about a lot anyway. After Carlos found out, he was a little at a loss. He looked at his cousin and cousin shyly and scratched his head and smiled, saying a bab, and seemed a little embarrassed. At Ekazu, Yoshiyuki. Only then did they realize that Carlos's face was not cold and rigid, but honest and rigid. This is what his uncle asked him to do, so as not to expose his identity, and also try to make him look less trivial. Hiromi was also very awkward at first, but then, she also showed a relieved expression. Really, that's what happened. Then she started writing on the paper and then showed it to her cousin. The big and stupid Carlos also smiled happily at this time and wrote a reply to his cousin. In addition, the will only says that it will be divided equally. How to actually divide it? The estimated statistics of the total assets are here. You can discuss it yourself now. After you all agree, I will notarize it, but I will also estimate the value based on the property. Roughly calculate whether it is evenly divided, and the deviation cannot be too large. Longyi started his real work. Announcement of the will is only the first step. The next step is to divide the inheritance, although it is said to be equally divided. In fact, the property of the Ebuachi family is basically fixed assets, and there is not much cash. It cannot be divided equally by just dividing. Longyi probably also saw that Carlos was obviously a vulnerable group, so he emphasized not to fool others with Longyi here. Eminem did not continue to act as a partner of justice here, but quietly left the table, and Conan followed him at this time. This guy, did you do it on purpose? Conan complained as soon as he opened his mouth. Huh? What do you mean? Amu pretended to be stupid. Come on. Of course it's Machiko and Kiko's business. Conan said matter-of-factly. Seeing that Eminem didn't answer, Conan reminded, I won't say anything this time, as a lesson to those greedy people, but next time you don't deliberately hide the truth or even use lies. Wait, did you make a mistake? Eminem suddenly interrupted. Conan thought he was going to quibble, but Eminem said matter-of-factly, I'm not a detective, and I have never said that I'm a companion of the truth. I'm just a companion of justice. Dolphin Man will recognize his master on the spot when he sees me. The truth, if it is not conducive to justice, I will cover it up at any time. So if there is a just murderer next time, it is not surprising that I will stand by the murderer at any time. So be careful. Huh? Conan looked at Eminem in surprise. He had always instinctively regarded Eminem as a detective before, but then he suddenly realized that this guy was indeed. Then, I will definitely stop you. The truth is the truth, no matter. Conan said seriously. Are you so brave? The Dark Organization is looking for Kudo Shinichi, who is also taking a bath with Xiaolan. Eminem interrupted first. Conan, dang. It's definitely the third update today, but maybe a little later. I'm going to visit Juju in the afternoon. On the first day of this month. Please give me a monthly pass. Please give me a monthly pass. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 486 Information. The acquittal in the Pokémon world is judged very quickly. On October 24th, when Eminem was leaving Dangman Town, Hickson also came to see him off, that is, the fake Ebuachi adopted house. His real name was Tanaka Hickson. His father was the earliest immigrant on Padia Island. The name is also Padian. Thank you so much this time. Thanks to you, Carlos can safely get his uncle's inheritance. Uncle Hickson thanked him. Conan was also on the side at this time, muttering dissatisfiedly, not only did I receive it safely, but I also received a little more. You're welcome. Didn't Mr. Hickson also pay me? Eminem said with a smile. Conan, you actually charge money? Conan said angrily. Huh? My little friend Conan, the mutual help between good people and good people cannot be measured by money. Eminem said and touched his dog's head. Of course it's not money. Eminem is not short of money, but after Eminem found out that Hickson actually had majestic teeth and flapping wings, he specifically asked him to give the majestic teeth and flapping wings to him for a physical examination, mainly to record Noah. Noah can deduce ancient forms and even simulate evolutionary conditions to guide Pokémon to evolve towards environmental variance. Speaking of ancient Pokémon, the ones that people are most familiar with are undoubtedly the ancient Pokémon. As for the information on ancient Pokémon, I believe no one in the entire Pokémon world dares to say that it is more comprehensive than the Giantwood Research Institute. Naturally, Eminem also asked teacher Jumu for a piece of information, many of which were information that Noah had not had before. It's not that Noah's Ark has insufficient performance. but that the Schindler Group's data in this area is inherently inferior to the Jumu Research Institute. This is Dr. Jumu's main research project. In theory, Eminem can now use Noah's power to guide Pokémon to evolve into ancient forms, but the success rate is extremely low because Noah currently has no matching hardware facilities, that is, no equipment. It only represents software and programs. The matching hardware equipment. Schindler Group should have it. The reason why there is still a slight success rate is because of Eminem's animal tamer ability and the private land where he can borrow old cards. It's just that the old card won't be borrowed easily. After all, it is still recovering and cannot withstand too much wear and tear. Letting mutated Eevee live there is its greatest endurance point. As for the unique future form and ancient form Pokémon on Padia Island, they are still a mystery to humans after all. The ancient form can be said to be left over from ancient times, but what about the future form? Therefore, these Pokémon on Padia are collectively called paradox species. Some people speculate that the Padia crater is related to time distortion. Some people also speculate that there are undiscovered mythical beasts in Padia that will cause Pokémon to mutate. Some people even suspect that these Pokémon are not ancient forms or future forms, but the result of artificial transformation. But after all, there is no evidence now. Moreover, the paradox species on Padia are generally very irritable and difficult to tame, especially after leaving Padia Island. They will become even more irritable than usual. It is precisely because of this that the foster brother would show off to his brother the two paradox Pokémon tamed in the ranch. In fact, he and Hickson had one each at the time, just to show off. Were all mentioned by him, and after the adopted brother's death, Hickson even took care of his own. Later it became one of the reasons for Conan's misjudgment. It's nothing, it's just a piece of cake. But you are really powerful. They rarely listen to other people's words. Even after leaving Padia, I couldn't bear it, Hickson said with emotion at this time. Obviously, the previous physical examination, majestic teeth and fluttering hair were not just left to Noah to check. Eminem also discovered at that time the state of majestic teeth and fluttering hair. It's equivalent to a weakened version of mutated Eevee. The mood is not as violent as that of mutated Eevee, and it is not the violent mood caused by pain. Their genes have been stabilized, which is equivalent to the successful version. The corresponding degree of mutation is not as high as mutated Ibrahimovic. The paradox species only have high racial values and essentially do not have a theoretical framework beyond Pokémon. The morphological changes of mutant Eevee anytime and anywhere are still essentially abnormal. From this point of view, Eminem does believe in the reform theory. But it may not be artificial modification. It may also be a mutation caused by other reasons. Wherever you can open up a human survival area in the Padia region, that's what is really great, Amu said modestly. After some pleasantries, Amu and his party left Dongman Town, and Yukiko also wanted to take Conan away. Although they were on the same road as Amu and others, they were not traveling together. She wanted to get to Yanmo City as soon as possible, and she did not will stay more in areas with wild Pokémon. You don't. You have information on paradox Pokémon? Conan looked at Eminem questioningly. It's just a matter of convenience. Essentially, I'm just trying to help others. Eminem shrugged, not in a hurry to argue. Theoretically, these paradox Pokémon have different meanings from the ancient forms. They just look very similar to the corresponding Pokémon today. The differences at the genetic level are already very large. Breeding is very difficult, and there is no degradation phenomenon of the ancient Pokémon. Whether it is a specific type of Pokémon or not, there is actually no argument other than appearance. This is what Dr. Jumu told Eminem after he asked teacher Jumu for advice. If Amu is going to Padia, Dr. Jumu will be happy. Drive. Jumu is also very interested in Padia, but there is no signal there, so Dr. Jumu has been reluctant to move the research institute there. As for Eminem, after that, I really want to try to see if I can guide the little elephant to evolve into the majestic teeth form similar to the Dungia. If successful, the racial value will be as high as 570 points, which is much stronger than the ordinary Dungia. In addition, what Eminem wants to try is naturally the evolution of Baby Bear, or Loop Bear, Uihu Bear, Moon Bear. is a very ancient Pokémon, and the modern Pokémon has lost the ability to evolve into Moonbear. Once successful, the Moonbear with 550 racial values and excellent characteristics and skills will definitely be a killer, and both the Little Elephant family and the Baby Bear family are local Pokémon in the Johto area. The Baby Bear family is distributed in the forests of the entire Johto area, and the Little Elephant family, going north from Dangman Town. The first section of the valley is the habitat of the Little Elephant in Dungia, known as the Valley of Dungia. Chapter 487, The Special Little Elephant. Be good, eat guago. I saw Eminem stroking the head of a baby elephant and feeding it a fruit, but then just watched it leave. Isn't that what you want? They are all so cute. Sakura looked at Eminem's picky choices with regret. The little elephant I'm looking for is a bit special. Eminem's tone was also a little helpless. In the past few days in the Valley of Dungia, Eminem has found no less than 20 untamed baby elephants, but the attributes are not quite to Eminem's liking point. But Eminem also fed the fruit from the tree, so he didn't tease others in vain. Mainly because Eminem hopes to tame a little elephant whose individual correction rate is high on speed. Both Little Elephant and its evolved Dungia have very high physical attack, but slow speed. After evolution, they only have 50 points of speed racial value, which shows that their speed is very low. The speed is not high to begin with. And when the speed racial talent is not good, very few Pokémon will rebelliously strengthen speed in their individual talents. Normal training to cultivate Dungia will not focus on speed, but Eminem is different. Eminem wants to guide Little Elephant to evolve in the direction of majestic teeth, that is, ancient paradoxical armor, although Noah was not sure whether this was the ancient Dungia. Based on his inference, this possibility did exist. But not only are there no archaeological fossils to prove it, but the paradox is that it is impossible to understand why they evolved into modern Dungia. Among the ancient Pokémon, although there are cases where the evolved type Moonbear disappears, and there are also cases where the modern type Slimy Dragon is not as useful as the ancient Pokémon, but from an evolutionary perspective, they are indeed more suitable for the environment and survival. Uayu Bear ate too much, and the ancient Sticky Dragon with steel attributes moved too slowly, although it may be weaker in battle after evolution. It is indeed more suitable for the environment. Paradoxical Pokémon often cannot deduce why they evolved from the past to what they are now, or why they evolved into this future. But putting aside why, purely from a possibility point of view, this possibility exists, and Noah can simulate it. The racial value of Majestic Fang is as high as 570 points. Although it is not as good as a quasi-god, it is already considered outstanding among ordinary Pokémon. Its racial value characteristics are the same as Dungia, which are extremely high: physical strength, physical attack, and physical defense. However, the difference is that Majestic Yes, speed, has reached 87 points, which is higher than Dungia, much higher in one fell swoop. It changed from very slow, only magic space, to you can compete for speed if you work hard. At the same time, the special attack and special defense of Majestic Fang are slightly lower than those of Dungia. To guide Little Elephant to evolve in the direction of Majestic Tusk, Eminem needs Little Elephant's racial value ratio to be closer to Majestic Tusk. Theoretically, the closer it is to the racial value ratio of Majestic Fang, the easier it will be to evolve paradoxically. Because there are no hardware facilities, it is necessary to consume the environment of Leoka to achieve ancient paradoxical evolution or modern evolution. Future paradoxical evolution cannot yet be deduced. And Leoka is not that easy to talk to. Even with Eminem, Leoka bargained with him and only gave him 2 places a year. Therefore, Eminem doesn't have much room to try, so he must choose the one that is easiest to evolve. For the Little Elephant, Eminem hopes to find an individual whose correction rate is high speed, low special attack, low special defense, so that it will be easier to evolve into Majestic Fang. After all, the individual correction rate is not an individual value. in the game, and it is not true that there are 2 lower items in contrast. Uayu Bear is not that troublesome to cultivate, because it itself is the evolution of Loop Bear, but modern Loop Bear generally does not have the ability to evolve. Just when Eminem was picking and choosing in the Dungeon Valley, suddenly a sound came from high up. "Ah, it's you, Eminem. Hinata? Why are you here?" Eminem looked up and recognized the person from the blue ponytail and the clothes that subtly revealed the absolute realm. Well, Eminem can actually recognize people. Yes, Xianalang. It's entirely because he himself is too featureless. Hinata was standing above the valley. At this time, in order to communicate with Eminem, she took out the hunting cursor that looked like a mobile phone, pulled out the antenna, and then pointed the antenna at an owl flying in the sky. I saw this night owl, as if it had received some signal. When it passed over Hinata's head, it turned back at a low altitude point, and Hinata also took advantage of the opportunity to grab its exposed leg with the help of the owl. Hinata landed safely. When he was not far from the ground, he let go and jumped down. The owl also continued to leave without stopping. This is the power of the ranger. Amu marveled. The effect of the dragon scale talisman is indeed very similar. Hinata, why are you here too? Sakura asked curiously upon seeing this. Did you just use the hunting cursor to drive Pokémon? It's so convenient. Actually, I can do it too, provided there is a signal. Tomoyo looked at Hinata and then murmured softly. Well, if there is a signal, Tomoyo can call the employees of the Prodigy family at any time. It's similar to this, right? They are all super abilities. I don't think that means the same thing. Eminem complained softly, only to receive a quiet glare from Tomoyo. I also want to ask, why are you here too? By the way, did you encounter any strange little elephants when you came? Hinata asked curiously. Strange? Eminem has checked many little elephants, Sakura said and looked at Eminem. What's weird? I've seen no less than 20 little elephants in the past 2 days. They are all quite ordinary. Amu asked when Hinata looked over. That shouldn't be. I heard from the ranger here before that there is a little elephant that keeps rolling down the hillside recently. It seems to like this feeling very much, but it also brings a lot of trouble to other little elephants. He failed to dissuade him several times, and now this situation has spread, and many little elephants have been injured, so they asked me to try. Hinata explained, obsessed with the little elephant rolling down the hillside. Is it rolling? After hearing this, Eminem also became curious. Maybe it should be a baby elephant that was born not long ago. The ranger of Dongia Valley only discovered it recently. For the sake of other baby elephants not to learn from it, and for its own sake, I have to find it and understand it. It just depends on the situation, Hinata said. Then, let's look for it together. Sakura said helpfully. Well, I'm also looking for a unique little elephant. It would be great if it has an individual tendency to speed. Eminem agreed expectantly. Great. Thank you. Hinata was also very happy when she heard this. Chapter 488 Tail Docking. Huh. Look here. Sakura discovered something on the mountain path and quickly called to Hinata. Upon seeing this, Eminem rushed over to Sakura and saw there were several plow marks on the steep mountain road here, as if something spherical had rolled down more than once. That's right. It should be the traces left by the roll, Hinata said after confirming that the size indeed matched the body shape of little elephant Gungan. Is the name given to it privately by the ranger and Hinata. Because this guy likes to roll down from high places and this steepness, rather than rolling down, it's better to say, falling against the mountain wall, right? Amu couldn't help but say, well, it's just because it's too dangerous, so we have to stop its behavior. Hinata said. Pokémon are really different from ordinary animals. Ordinary wild animals will never seek death for fun. Then Eminem and others also climbed down one after another. Of course, it was the motorcycle lizard. Below. In addition to the impact marks, Amu and Hinata also found some leaving footprints. Sure enough, it's not just a little elephant, Hinata said helplessly. Many little elephants had followed suit and become bad. If the source is not eliminated, sooner or later a baby elephant will be injured. I'm going over here. Can you please help me go over there to take a look? Hinata asked Sakura and Amu. Well, just in time. Sakura and Tomoya will follow this trail to have a look, and I'll go up here. Eminem agreed. The group of people divided into 3 groups. Eminem took Zio AI and looked in one of the directions. Unfortunately there were no K9 Pokémon living around. Otherwise Hinata would have borrowed her smell for use point. Although it is on a mountainous terrain, as a motorcycle lizard, it is easy for a horse to climb high and low. Unfortunately, it would be better if the nose is sensitive. Drive. Just when Eminem had lost the clue, he suddenly heard a milky sound coming from not far away. The tone was a bit like Little Elephant, but the cry was completely different, because in the past 2 days, Eminem has come into contact with enough little elephants, and he can judge from the tone that this is indeed the sound of little elephants, but the sound is strange. Over there. Amu patted Ima and gestured quickly. But at this moment, the sound suddenly turned into drive. It originally sounded like he was standing on a high place, stretching his nose and shouting, but now, it sounds like he is rolling down in a ball, chattering. Ima quickly came to the top of a nearby slope and found a blue ball rolling down on the mountain road opposite. That's right, it's the blue ball, and at this moment, I saw it was hit by a protruding rock and then moved to the side. Not good. Amu looked at the rolling path of this stupid elephant and found that it was about to hit a sharp rock. Yima. Amu called out immediately, but when Yima wanted to run over, it was already too late. I saw the blue ball rolling onto a raised rock slab, then bouncing up, and the point of impact was exactly the sharp rock that Eminem saw before. If it were a Pokémon with a higher level and thicker skin, it would certainly be able to break the rock directly, but according to Hinata, this was just a Pokémon that was just born. Yima quickly galloped away. But seeing the distance, it was already too late. Yima didn't have any long-range attack skills and couldn't break the rocks in front of him. At the critical moment, Amphu had a sudden idea and said, "One horse. Use tail cut." One horse. Boom. I just heard a horse making a sound like a motorcycle engine, and the next moment, the tail of a horse curled into the rear wheel, twisted for a while and then disappeared, causing the running horse to roll out unprepared. But Amu was already ready, hugging and lifting Zio AI. Although Eminem was also thrown out, with Eminem's physique, it was not a big problem. Zio AI, because of Eminem's early reaction, just hit Eminem and let out a slight cry of pain. At the same time, I saw the blue ball popping into the sharp rock pillar. However, the bloody scene did not appear. A little elephant fell to the side at this time, and the top of the sharp rock pillar. I saw the blue ball turned into a fleshy tail, stuck on it. After shaking twice, the pieces disappeared. Because he was eager to activate his skills, and lost his rear wheel during the gallop, the horse fell down. At this time, he stood up and shook his head. At the same time, I saw its tail growing rapidly, but the horse was obviously panting at this time. Normally, he would never be panting like this after running on the mountain for 2 or 3 hours. It was the signature skill of motorized lizard, tail cute off. This is the only Pokémon that can learn Broken Tail, both of which are Motor Lizard and Drag Bug, both of which are unique to the Padia region. Motor Lizard learns it earlier and can awaken when it reaches level 31. Fortunately, one day ago, Yima grew to level 31 under Eminem's training. It is equivalent to a substitute used for others. Many Pokémon can learn the stand-in skill, and even from a purely genetic level, only a handful of Pokémon cannot learn it. However, it is actually not easy to activate the gene segment of this skill. Just like poison, the difficulty of learning varies greatly between Pokémon suitable for learning and those that are not suitable for learning. What is especially difficult is that different Pokémon can hardly teach each other because the methods of use are also different. For example, the stand-in of Hoodie creates a physical phantom formed by mental power. The stand-in of Koga Ninja forms a water avatar. Jenga means separating part of the gas that makes up the body. However, the final effect is similar. Stamina is consumed, and a stand-in is formed. Normally, it can bear attacks for oneself. Some awakened special stand-in Pokémon can even use the stand-in to attack point, especially in the Quartz League. There are often such legends, because it is said that the 7th Hokage's signature training method is to make Pokémon combine, shadow clone, and stand, mutate, and awaken. The effect of Broken Tail is similar to that of stand, except it can be used by other Pokémon. It was Zima who took action just now and took the damage for the little elephant with dropping tail, but when Eminem got up, he found that little elephant was very rude. Instead of thanking himself and Yuma, he turned around and left. Drive. The little elephant also fell hard. Because of its low level and poor ability to withstand damage, it was limping point. When Eminem looked from behind, he noticed something was wrong. It seemed like an inexplicable force was entangled with it. It's said to be inexplicable, but actually Eminem is somewhat familiar with it. It's the power of Kuro card. Chapter 489, Expelling Cards. Wait. Eminem quickly chased after him and stopped the little elephant named Gangan Drive. The little elephant shouted point. Eminem frowned at this moment and found that the Kuro card on Gungan's body was in a strange state. Point to say that it is possessed. The little elephant's power should be more than that, but just now he almost suffered casualties during extreme sports. But then again, Claw card would choose such a weak Pokémon, which is strange in itself. Can you hear me? Eminem said, raising the palm of his right hand to face Gungan. Woo, quick and lightning fast. Ha Slim Shady. Eminem discovered that this Gungan seemed to be a little too excited. On the one hand, it is probably because of its own personality. On the other hand, the state of Kuro card on it also affects some of its thinking. But what should we do about this? Amu murmured, and at the same time, gave Zio a wink, asking her to mount a horse and go to find Sakura and Tomoyo. Eminem doesn't know how to separate the Kuro card in this situation, nor does he know what kind of card it is, or even whether he can seal a card with non-earth attributes. I saw Eminem approaching, tentatively placing his hand on top of Gungan's head, then clearing his throat and shouting, "Return to your original appearance. What kind of card is that?" Eminem doesn't even know what card it is now. Idiot. There are idiots. Come with me. It will help alleviate the condition, Gungan said and swung his trunk, almost making Eminem roll into a ball. Slim Shady. After Amu stumbled backward, he took out the elf ball and muttered, "After all, it's the ground system. Let's try it first, baby." Elephant is a pure ground type Pokémon, and before it evolved, its personality was just naughty, and the level of this rolling Pokémon is not high. Taken together, the probability of Eminem becoming a one-ball Superman is not low point, but when the elf ball was about to hit its little head, snap, there was a crisp sound, and a translucent wind speed dog emerged from the little elephant's body and slapped the Pokéball away. It's this dispelling card? Amu's eyes lit up when he saw this. He really tried it out. Previously, Zio showed Eminem the Book of Ceilings. That is, a blank card collection book. The appearance of each card is drawn on it, and the corresponding skills are marked. Contrary to Sakura, Eminem memorized everything in one night, including the appearance of each card, the attributes and skills of each card. Therefore, Eminem recognized at a glance that Wind Speed Dog corresponds to the Driver card, which belongs to the Moon and Wind attributes. Although it is not the most suitable Earth attribute for Eminem, it is at least under the Lunar system. However, Eminem has never sealed the Wind and Water attributes under the Moon element before. He has only sealed the Power card and the Flower card. Both are Earth attribute cards. Go. Nido. Eminem released Nido first. As soon as Nido appeared, he immediately confronted the translucent Wind Speed Dog. The next moment, the figure of Wind Speed Dog moved erratically and rapidly, so fast that an after image appeared. The originally blurry figure could not be caught by ordinary people with a naked eye. Nido waved his arm, seemingly attacking in the air, but in fact he made a bang sound and knocked something away. The next moment, Nido was attacked from the side and staggered 2 steps. Nido, after losing his balance and being attacked several times in succession, Nido looked very embarrassed. It's this high-speed movement? Amu combined what he saw in the Book of Ceilings with the ability of destroying cards, and judge what destroying cards was doing. Nido seized the opportunity Eminem commanded at this time point. When he was hit and attacked again, Nido stamped his foot in the direction of the attack, and a wave of earth surged out. It was Nido's own skill, Power of the Earth. However, after the Power of the Earth swept through the translucent wind speed dog, it only shattered the wind speed dog, and then quickly floated away like smoke. Regrouped, and immediately struck again. This time, Windspeed Dog's body was surging with general power, and it seemed that the super speed skill was activated. Eminem was stunned when he saw this. The attack was completely ineffective. This Eminem thought for a while, and usually when Sakura directly fights the spirits in the Kuro card, she seems to be unable to directly harm them. After restricting their actions, she goes up and return to your original appearance. As long as the sealing rod touches the spirit of the card, it can be resealed into a card. Oops. Amu realized that he seemed to have made a mistake, and he quickly released the young Kiris originally using Power of the Earth. Eminem instinctively treated the opponent as a wind speed dog, ground type, restraining fire type point, but now Eminem realizes that this is driving card, not wind speed dog. The corresponding skills of dispelling cards, a high speed movement to increase the movement speed, super speed to attack quickly, and high speed spin to further increase the movement speed while attacking point. If you want to restrain, repelling card, or even control repelling card, you don't have to attack wind speed dog, but Nido limit it. Old Ben seizes the opportunity. Under Eminem's command, Nido tried his best to stop the wind speed dog. At the same time, Leoben waved his small paws downwards, and the rock power suddenly condensed into rock blocks in the air, moving toward wind speed dog smashed over. Unfortunately, Leoben was too weak, and the wind speed dog shattered the rocks in a flash. Rock blockade failed to work point however, seeing that wind speed dog did not ignore it directly this time, but smashed the rock blockade. Eminem felt that he had grasped the key point. The effect of dispelling card is to accelerate itself. If you want to control it, you must reduce its speed in turn. It has nothing to do with the wind speed dog. It looks like point. It's a pity that among Eminem's Pokémon now, only Leoben has rock blockade. Nido usually doesn't carry stomach, and Heracris doesn't usually carry insect pounce wind. Speed Dog seemed to have noticed that Eminem had seen through its weakness, so he bared his teeth and rushed towards Eminem. But at this time, Eminem released Zyodian Point under the shining electric light. The wind speed dog came to a sudden stop and suddenly became quiet after showing its teeth and claws well. Even without restraint skills, you can restrain Claw card with your absolute strength. And small flash actually has a restraining effect. The paralysis effect of the electric system will also limit the speed. Then Eminem heard the sound of cracking in the air. When he looked up, it turned out that Sakura had arrived in time. Chapter 490 Conquest and Evolution. Ikwape, return to your original appearance. I saw that Sakura was currently wearing a slim-fitting motorcycle-style leather jacket, leather pants, and a small leather skirt. I don't know when she changed it point. When I first arrived, it was as it is now. Then I use a wind card and shadow card to trap the dispelling card, and then there was a hammer, heavy fog. The ceiling staff hit Wind Speed Dog on the head, and the next moment, Wind Speed Dog turned back into a driver card, fell from the air, and was picked up by Sakura, who was gliding down on the ceiling staff. Live, expelling cards, done. Sakura made a yeah gesture point, and at this moment, a somewhat deliberate conversation was heard. Ah, is it this way? Sorry, I'm really not familiar with the roads nearby. That's right. Wait a moment, there seems to be some movement over there. Hearing this voice, Sakura hurriedly hid behind a rock wall. Tomoyo also put away the camera rotom and followed point immediately. I saw Hinata and Sioran walking over from an angle that Hinata couldn't see. Sioran gave Eminem a look that said, "It's good to have me." He was reserved and arrogant point. That's right. Hinata had noticed the movement here before, and she almost discovered that Sakura was a magical girl, only a little bit. Although she couldn't be found to be a magical girl, she would still be considered a magical girl, transvestite girl at the critical moment. Sioran pretended to be a trainer who was lost in the mountains and held Hinata back point after all. As a wizard, Xiaolang didn't want any problems with the Secrecy Act point. Although Hinata is a ranger, if she continues to develop, she will come into contact with more sooner or later. Her father should even know about wizards, but Xiaolang, Eminem and others at least don't want to let she knows it here. Otherwise it would be troublesome to explain point at this time. Hinata didn't notice anything strange. She only saw Eminem comforting a small elephant. He quickly stepped forward and asked, "Is it just Gungan?" As Hinata said, she also noticed the traces of falling on the mountain path beside her, probably. So, when I came here, I saw it doing the ultimate challenge and almost hit the rock pillar over there. Fortunately, my motorcycle lizard learned tail docking yesterday. Eminem told the truth, but omitted something happened point at this time. Hinata also took out the hunting cursor, pointed the antenna at the little elephant, and communicated with it point as Eminem said. This should be Gungan Bengan, not the other little elephants who learned bad things from Gungan point. However, Gungan certainly does not admit that he instigated other little elephants to roll around, because he has tried his best to avoid other little elephants where Eminem and others discovered before. There were several little elephants rolling with it point, so Gungan left there. Hinata still looked uneasy because she discovered that the reason why Gungan likes to roll down from high places is simply because he likes it. This is indeed the case. To be precise, Gungan likes the feeling of speeding like lightning, but the little elephant's short legs really can't control it, so he uses roll instead of run point. That's why I attracted the dispelling card, not the other way around. It was its pure love for galloping that made the driver card attracted to it and wanted to possess it, but it did not completely possess it, because for the little elephant, the 3 characters on the driver card, a skill that no one can learn point. The evolved Dungia can learn the high speed rotation, but the little elephant cannot point. Therefore, driving card is only superficially attached at this time, which not only encourages Gungan to continue his hobby, but also makes him continue to learn high speed rotation in advance. If this continues, it is estimated that once it evolves, it will be able to master the extremely profound, high-speed spin, and even awaken on the spot is not impossible. Don't worry. I have decided to tame this little elephant. From now on, Gungan will be left to me, Amu said righteously. Hinata looked surprised when she heard this. She could rest assured that a trainer had taken it away, and it was a trainer she could trust. Really? That's great. That really helps a lot. You must teach it well in the future, Hinata said gratefully. Of course, you have helped me a lot. I have been looking for a little elephant whose qualifications focus on speed. Gungan is just right for me. Eminem was also very excited. It took no effort at all, and Gungan was exactly the little elephant Eminem was looking for. Although movement speed, running speed and skill preparation speed are not the same thing, they are indeed related. Gungan's individual correction rate tends to be speed and physical defense, while its weak points are special defense and special attack, although it also tends to be physical defense. For Eminem, this is already very suitable for the requirements. There may not be anything more suitable in the entire Valley of Dungia. Amu estimates that the main reason is because Gungan likes to run since he was born, and later likes to roll, so he prefers speed. At the same time, in order to avoid harm to the body when rolling, he also strengthens physical defense and special defense. Follow the corresponding decline. Come with me. You will become the fastest Dungia, Eminem said to the little elephant. Then I saw Eminem throwing the elf ball. This time, there was no card expulsion to cause trouble, and he directly took Gungan in. Hinata was stunned when she heard this. It was the first time she had heard of the little elephant training speed, or Dungia. Of course, as a ranger, she was not prepared to make irresponsible remarks on the training as Eminem, a trainer. At the same time, just when Eminem was about to put Leoben away, he saw Yalculus, who was a little bit shocked in front of the driver card just now, suddenly glowed with the light of evolution. This is Hinata was surprised. I thought this baby killers had fought Gungan before. Gungan was only born not long ago and had no fighting power at all, but it actually could evolve. In waves of unwillingness, Leoben formed a cocoon and evolved into Shakiras. Shakiras is a type of pupa-shaped Pokémon, but unlike those insect-type pupa-shaped Pokémon, Shakiras has no arms or legs. But not only does it not move slowly, it even, some pigs leap like wolves. I saw Leoben, who had just evolved. At this time, high pressure gas was sprayed out from the exhaust port of the cocoon shell, pushing it into the sky. It bumped around several times before returning faintly. Gungan, who was released again, looked at it with greed. Shap. Leoben came over and pushed Gungan away and rubbed against Eminem's leg. Seeing this, Hinata couldn't help but twitch the corner of her mouth and even had some doubts about whether Eminem could teach Gungan well. It seems that you want to discipline not only Gungan. Chapter 491. Marion Town. The town of Marion is just ahead. Let's work harder. I can finally have a good rest today. Amu looked at the map and then said encouragingly to Tomoyo and Sakura. On October 29th, the 6th day after setting off from Dangman Town, Amu and his party finally arrived at the first town in the mountains. It should also be the largest small town before arriving in Yanmo City. The mountains in the northeastern part of the Johto area are full of mountains. There are no large cities, and even villages and towns are very sparse. If Eminem wants to enter villages and towns along the way, there are actually opportunities. The only time is for Eminem to conquer the little elephant in the valley of Dungia. The other time is because Sakura dreamed of beating cards and took a detour. The mountain forest, where the long-tailed monster lives. After taking 2 detours into the wilderness, we missed the village where we originally wanted to stay. Now Marion Town, as the largest town in the northeastern mountains outside Yanmo City, is naturally not to be missed. I can finally take a good bath. Sakura couldn't help but sigh. Sakura, don't talk about taking a shower in front of boys. Tomoyo corrected seriously. Why? Sakura wondered. Because they will imagine it. Tomoyo told Sakura in a low voice while looking at Eminem warily. Hey, your voice is not quiet enough, isn't it? And why do you keep looking at me? Eminem said helplessly. Of course, the reason why I didn't take a shower was not due to safety issues, but lack of water. As we all know, the texture of water condensed from water energy is still different from real water. It dries quickly when used for bathing. It is definitely not as comfortable as bathing with real water, and none of the 4 of them have water Pokémon yet. AI and Sakura have no Pokémon at all. Tomoyo's positions are all taken by various Rotoms, and Eminem, after conquering Gungan, it was a pure baby team. Unless Eminem instructs Zio-shan to ask for rain, he won't be able to get any water, and if he asks Zio-shan to do this, all Eminem can get is noisy complaints and ridicule. Not long after, Amu and his party overlooked the town and the small basin from the mountain. The terrain of Marion Town is narrow, but it is considered unique among the mountains in the northeast of the city. A town has been built that can accommodate at least 300,000 permanent residents and can receive trainers on a mobile basis. This is not a small town among towns in fact, in the loose system of the Alliance, there is often no precise reporting line between villages, towns, and cities. The essential difference is that the systems of district offices are different. In comparison, town offices and village offices have greater autonomy than city offices, while city offices are more constrained by the Alliance and also receive investment from the Alliance, so they generally develop better. In addition, a large number of outdoors will be divided into the administrative areas of the city. But sometimes there are situations like small cities and big towns. At this time, Amu and his party were overlooking Marion Town from the high ground in the south of Marion Town. They could see the interior of the town, which was full of high-rise buildings and very modern. However, the traffic outside the town was really inconvenient. Otherwise, it can completely support a larger town. At first glance, the most eye-catching thing is not the high-rise buildings in Marion Town, but outside the modern buildings, probably in the northern suburbs of the town, there is a super huge statue of Celebi. Hold on tight. Amu said, holding ZOAI between his arms holding the handlebars at this time. Sakura also hugged Tomoyo, and then the two motorcycle lizards climbed directly down the mountain. Obviously, Eminem and Tomoyo were not prepared to go back to the main road. After coming down, they soon entered the signal area, and all three people's illustrated books rang. They began to receive messages. Only ZOAI doesn't have a picture book, and her phone doesn't have many messages. Eminem seemed to have seen news that puzzled him at this time, and then he rode a horse towards the town while making a phone call point. After dialing the number, I saw Yuanzi's face appearing on the video. "Hey, where are you?" Yuanzi asked directly after answering the phone, and then added, "It seems that the signal is not very good." Yuanzi knew that since Eminem had returned the call, he might have gone to a place with signal, but he didn't know exactly where it was. He only knew that the signal was not very good point because Eminem hasn't entered Town yet. He just caught some peripheral signals. "I'm just outside Town," Amu said, turning the camera to show Yuanzi the front. Town could be seen. The reason why Eminem said this was because the message Yuanzi sent to Eminem was that she had arrived in Town just one day ago. "Why did you come to Town?" Amu asked curiously. It was normal for Amu to come to Town because Amu was traveling and training in the mountains, so of course he would not miss this largest supply town outside of Yanmo City. But Yuanzi and Xiaolan, it can't be considered travel training. Their travels rarely go to wild places. Even Xiaolan's Pokémon are mainly trained in the fighting arena. Fighting type Pokémon do not really rely on outdoor training. When Eminem was in Town before, Yuanzi still told him that he would go to Yanmo City, and if he had time, he could wait for Eminem there. Conan was also sent to Yanmo City by Yukiko, and he probably met Xiaolan and Sonoko there. Normally, they should have no reason to come to Town. As soon as Eminem asked, Sonoko couldn't wait to say, "Of course it's because of Uncle Kagoro." Hahaha, Uncle Kagoro received a job invitation in Town. I was worried, so I followed. Hahaha, you happy about anything? Eminem felt that Yuanzi's attitude was a little erratic. Cough. Cough cough. You're okay. Yuanzi choked. At this time, behind Sonoko, Kagoro, Xiaolan, and Conan were walking behind. Kagoro couldn't help but ask, "Is Sonoko acting strange recently? And when did you care about me so much? You even went out of your way to rush me. Come over, Dad, you are serious? Haven't I always cared about you?" Xiaolan asked with a smile. Of course, it was actually Yuanzi who suggested coming, and Xiaolan didn't reveal anything. After all, her father was indeed not far away. Of course she agreed. Even when Yuanzi pretended to come or not, Xiaolan Lan even pushed her and offered to come over. Soon, Eminem also officially entered the town, so he got off the motor lizard. While Tomoyo did as usual, he had already called a special car. This is different from the garden. In terms of life skills, Tomoyo is quite good compared to Sonoko. In terms of self-care, Tomoyo is definitely much better, but Sonoko will not contact the Suzuki Foundation unless necessary. While Tomoyo is everywhere he goes, he will inevitably mobilize a large number of people to disrupt the DOC group's industry. Chapter 492. The first badge. Amu. After Sonoko called Amu, she found a smiling Tomoyo coming out of the car, and she immediately became angry. Sonoko was a little frightened and communicated with Tomoyo. However, when Tomoyo saw Sonoko, he looked very enthusiastic. "Miss Sonoko, long time no see. How are uncle and aunt? Long time no see." Yuanzi laughed dryly. Seeing that they were reminiscing about old times, Eminem said directly, "You guys talk first. I'll get the room ready, and I'll go out later." So urgent? Yuanzi said in surprise. "I just took advantage of the opportunity before dinner to complete the gym challenge," Eminem said without taking it seriously. There is an official gym in the Johto area in Town. When we were in Town, we were delayed due to matters involving the Yabuchi family. This is the first gym that Eminem has challenged in the Johto area. You really don't need to take it too seriously. Although the 6 Pokeballs Eminem is carrying now, except for one horse, the other 5 are babies that have not evolved to their final form. Even shuttlecock is still a little short of evolving, but they are generally available. Above level 25, only Gungan is slightly lower, and getting the first badge is not difficult at all. Eminem plans to sign up directly, and there is probably no need to make an appointment. The first badge is just like a physical examination, and you can get it after queuing up. Want to use a car? Tomoyo asked proactively at this time. Huh, of course, that's great. Eminem was stunned when he heard this. This guy Tomoyo usually just lets me ride in the car. Could this be because he finally remembered that I'm also a traveling companion? Follow him to the gym. He is the most important guest of the prodigy group. Tomoyo said to the driver. I understand, miss. The driver is also a manager of the Dodoc shopping mall in Marientown. This time he came to look familiar. His name is Mike, and he looks like a middle-aged man with a somewhat bald head. Seeing Tomoyo's formal tone, he immediately became serious. Eminem suddenly felt that Chise was a lot more sensible. But what he didn't notice was that Sonoko on the side had begun to look at Tomoyo suspiciously, and the latter just smiled as if he didn't notice. Just when Yuanzi felt a little uncomfortable, Amu suddenly said to her, by the way, Yuanzi will help me take care of Zhao for a while. Oh, of course. I will definitely treat her as the most important guest. Yuanzi immediately said instinctively. Huh. Eminem looked like, are you that concerned? Ahem. I mean, leave Zhao to me. Well, there is Conan to play with her. If this kid dares to bully Zhao, I will definitely beat him up. Yuanzi said confidently. Conan, good guy. What's none of my business? Who bullies whom? Well, you must keep an eye on this kid. Eminem looked at Conan, touched his head and said, okay, come on, then. Yuanzi said immediately. Afterwards, Eminem opened the room, put down his luggage, and got in the car again. At this time, Tomoyo curiously said to Sonoko, you seem to have sent a lot of messages to Mr. Amu before. Mr. Amu's illustrated book kept ringing as soon as it entered the signal area. What? He has a lot of friends, right? It's not like I sent them all. Yuanzi immediately retorted. Huh? In other words, you did send more than one message? Tomoyo asked, blinking his big eyes. Is it normal? That's right. I'm the general manager of Mom's classroom, so of course I have something serious to say to him. Yuanzi suddenly thought of a justified reason. Tomoyo seemed to have completely accepted it and said with pretense of envy, as expected of Miss Sonoko, my mother didn't let me get involved in business matters so early, saying that I was not mature enough. Of course. Yuanzi was complimented and immediately felt proud. So, you really going to stop going to school after high school? That's great. I'm definitely still wasting time. Sonoko, on the other hand, Eminem was lucky. There were not many people queuing up at Marion Gym, and he got his first badge after more than an hour originally. Eminem saw that the registration staff looked at him in surprise when entering the information. He obviously recognized Amu. At that time, Eminem thought that the gym might make it more difficult and give him a good test. But now it seems that Eminem is indeed overthinking. But when Eminem came out, he found someone talking to the driver. No, to manager Mike of the Dado Temple group. Originally, Eminem wanted not to step forward. After all, his guest role as a driver was to leave a good impression on the eldest lady of the group, and he didn't necessarily want others to know. Judging from the suit and leather shoes of the other party, he was probably a business partner. However, when Mike saw Eminem, he immediately waved, and Eminem came over. Mike introduced, Mr. Eminem, this is President Izao of Damoto Kanko. I heard that you challenged me at the gym. Rushed over immediately. Later, Mike specially added, I happened to see me here, so I came over to say a few words. Unexpectedly, I was also waiting for Mr. Eminem. Mike wanted to emphasize that he did not create a tip-off to Damoto Ran. And Eminem also knew it. It was probably leaked from the gym. Of course, Eminem's whereabouts are not confidential information. On the contrary, Eminem is also very curious. Why is the president of the tourism company so anxious to find him? Hello. Mr. Eminem's reputation is very popular. President Rang Zhao came up and shook hands with Eminem warmly. Rang Zhao looks like a very capable middle-aged man. Although he seems to be getting older, it can be seen from his hard-style beard and hair bleached to the point where not a single gray hair is left. Don't accept old age. Hello. President Izo also likes Pokémon duels? Amu guessed, no, I pay attention to Mr. Eminem, but it started with the incident at Kanto Shoujo Gorge. It's just a pity that there has never been a chance to meet Mr. Eminem. President Izo's answer surprised Eminem point, but when it comes to Maiden Gorge, Eminem naturally thinks of Celebi, and then he also thinks of a huge Celebi statue outside Marientown. It just so happens that Rangzo is here. I don't know what is the difference between these two. It doesn't matter. Seeing Eminem's surprise, Rangzo did not immediately explain. Instead, he handed over his business card and said, Mr. Eminem, do you have time to have dinner tonight? I also have something that I would like to discuss in detail with Mr. Eminem tonight. Eminem was stunned when he heard this and suddenly found that manager Mike was secretly winking at him. Sorry, I just arrived in Marientown and had an appointment with a friend. Eminem actually felt that he must have something to ask of himself, and he had to do his homework first. This is the same as Pokémon Duel. First understand the opponent before you can perform better. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 493. Are you sure? When Rangzo was politely rejected by Eminem, his face stiffened, and he seemed a little dissatisfied. However, after seeing Mike from the corner of his eye, he suppressed his emotions again, and said with an attentive look, Mr. Eminem, if you have something to do, how about we contact you tomorrow? I also have some small gifts. Seeing this, Eminem had no choice but to leave him her contact information, but she declined the small gift again. It seems that Izo really only knew Eminem from the Maiden Gap incident. As for Eminem's other actions, including the incident on the Santo Anu, including the cooperative relationship with the Suzuki group, he was not aware of it, let alone don't talk about the semi-finals of the rookie competition. He didn't even know that Eminem was an expert pharmacist. After all, the pharmacist assessment was after the Maiden Gorge incident, and Izo only focused on Celebi's well-wishers. In Rangzo's view, he is just a young and frivolous trainer. Is the carriage fee of 10 million enough? If it's not enough, add 10 million more. What are you so arrogant about? But seeing Mike waiting for Eminem outside, looking like he was picking up and dropping off the driver, Rangzo glanced at Eminem. Maybe 20 million is really not enough. Purchasing power refers to the game, that is, refers to the Japanese yen. Mike is just the general manager of Deodeo Temple Mall in Marientown, not the owner of the mall, let alone an executive of Deodeo Temple Group. But looking at Mike's appearance, Rangzo suspected that Eminem had something to do with the Prodigy group, so he was ready to go back and pay more attention to who Eminem really was. On the way back to the Pokémon Center, Eminem also asked manager Mike, who is that guy? Did he tell me why he was looking for me, President? Rangzo didn't mention this to me just now, but I can probably guess. Mike immediately explained. It was because he guessed what Rangzo was doing that he gave Eminem a wink. After all, he was the most important guest of the group, and the eldest lady said so, which made Mike care about how he behaved in front of Eminem. Otherwise, for the general managers of these divisions, even though they are the top leaders in the shopping mall, they have no chance of being promoted to the group's management. Of course, after returning home, he would also have to express himself in front of the chairman of Yuanmi, such as informing the president of Yuanmi that the eldest lady said that a young man was the most important guest of the group. The motto tourism company has been having troubles with many locals recently and even had conflicts with the Pokémon Center because they want to develop the Colossus of Celebi. They have indeed obtained the development qualification from the town office long ago. Even the sightseeing cable car has been built, but now that it is about to be officially put into operation, the pressure from all aspects is still great. I guess the reason why he is so diligent in inviting Mr. Eminem is because according to rumors, Rabbi Celebi once blessed Mr. Eminem Mike talked about the current situation and his guess Eminem understood clearly after hearing this. After all, it involves mythical beasts. In the eyes of many people, especially the elderly, mythical beasts are also gods, and doing so is offensive to Celebi. Is that a very old statue? Amu asked curiously. Amu had also seen the huge statue from a distance on the southern mountain peak. Yes, it is said that the reason why Marion Town became a human settlement is because many years ago, a Celebi absorbed the time ripples here, and then the place became lush, so humans carved a huge statue of Celebi here. Before the alliance was established, the Joy clan, who had just arrived in the mountains of the Johto area, built the first Pokémon here in the space inside the stone statue. The center serves the trainers and Pokémon around it, Mike explained at this time. This also explains why Demoto Tourism, a company that operates various scenic spots, would offend the Pokémon Center. Although the Pokémon Center has long been moved to the town office's actions, after granting the original site to Demoto Tourism, and Demoto Tourism made some old Joey dissatisfied. Demoto Tourism, of course there is no comparison with the Joey family, but the Pokémon Center in a small town is just an inconspicuous branch of the Joey clan and cannot represent the Joey clan. If the Joey clan really shares the same hatred, to offend the Joeys of a small town is to offend all the Joeys. To the extent that major leagues have already begun to divest them, I see. It's a good thing I didn't agree to him. I'll reject it tomorrow. Eminem was stunned after hearing this and decided to ignore them. After listening to Mike's words, Eminem also understood why the president of Rangzao was so attentive. If people who have been in contact with Celebi and have clearly been blessed by Rabbi Celebi also agree with what he does, then if others want to object, their momentum will not be so strong. Eminem doesn't even need to stand directly on the platform. As long as he attends the operating ceremony of the sightseeing cable car, it is enough to suppress some voices, but after understanding the situation, Eminem will definitely not respond to such an invitation. Eminem believed that the real Celebi, whether it was the Celebi he had seen as a child or other Celebi, would not care about a statue. But Eminem will not cooperate with a popular tourism company and ride on the popularity of Celebi just for money. Before dinner, Eminem returned to the Pokémon Center and learned that Tomoyo had taken Sakura with him to Daidaiji Mall. Eminem was probably making clothes, so Eminem had dinner with Sonoko and Zyalin, and what was very rare was Kagoro was the one treating him. It can be seen that this time he must have received a well-paid order. It was a rare treat, so Kagoro naturally boasted about his detective deeds during the dinner, but he couldn't ask in detail at this time, otherwise he wouldn't be able to explain his reasoning process. Dad, this is the last drink. Don't you have an appointment with a client tomorrow to participate in the trial run of the cable car? Zyalin sternly dissuaded Kagoro, while he drank one glass after another. Cable car? Eminem noticed directly. Well, it's the sightseeing cable car that is about to run in the north. The president of the sightseeing company seems to have received a threatening letter. In order for the business ceremony to proceed normally the day after tomorrow, he invited my father. Zyalin explained. Slim Shady, that's a coincidence. Eminem sighed. At the same time, I was complaining in my heart that President Rangzo really never knew any additional information. It's true that Kagoro is a famous detective. Although he is very knowledgeable, asking him can indeed guarantee the detection rate. However, if you get to know him a little, you will know that he can only help you find the real murderer, but he cannot guarantee your life safety. Huh? What's wrong? Zyalin asked specifically when she saw that Eminem had a strange reaction. No, it's nothing. Amu changed the topic. Since Kagoro is going, Zyalin and Conan will definitely follow. It is estimated that Iza will not be spared in all likelihood. So far, Eminem has no intention of getting involved. But, early the next morning, before 5 o'clock again, Tomoyo hurriedly knocked on Eminem's door. Eminem immediately stood up, opened the door, and asked straight to the point. Huh? So urgent? What did you dream about in this precognitive dream? When Sakura had a precognitive dream, Tomoyo would often come to see Mew before dawn, but this was the first time. Tomoyo didn't even change out of his pajamas. Sakura dreamed of the huge Celebi statue. Someone died. Tomoyo said seriously. Slim Shady. Chapter 494. Don't die at my door. Dead. Wait, are precognitive dreams bound to happen? Amu immediately paid attention to it. After hearing this, Tomoyo came to Mu immediately, because there was a suspected murder case. After all, there are very few murder cases in the Pokémon world. Once a human life is involved, everyone will feel nervous. I don't know. Sakura said that she saw a corpse next to the peach in Celebi's hand, and at the same time, Rabbi flew over. Tomoyo shook his head. Then, you go back first. I'll go over there and tell you in detail then. Eminem said seriously. Firstly, it's because it's about human life. Secondly, it's also about the Kuro card. And thirdly, it might be about Celebi. So Eminem can't help but not care. Naturally, Eminem remembered that the spirit looked like Celebi and the Kuro card was a she card. Since Sakura can have precognitive dreams, it is very likely that she is seeing Toki cards. If someone is killed due to the Kuro card, although Eminem feels that the responsibility lies with Crorido, Sakura will definitely blame herself. As Sakura's travel companion, Eminem will also then blame yourself. The level is about a quarter at the same time for Eminem. More importantly, it is clearly the pot of Kuro card and Crorido, but if the cute Celebi has to carry it, then as the well-wisher of Celebi, Eminem can't just sit back and watch. What if someone thinks that it is really the curse of Celebi, and in fact, it may not be Kuro card? After Eminem came to Tomoyo and Sakura's room, he also confirmed this to Zioka. In Kuro card, many cards are indeed aggressive, but there are no cards that are cruel. Sakura, cheer up. Didn't you say that? Kuro card will not attack humans for no reason. Even aggressive cards will only challenge those powerful Pokémon or trainers. Tomoyo he tried to persuade Sakura, who was obviously depressed, but it doesn't need to be a deliberate attack to cause harm to others, right? Sakura was obviously not stupid. Indeed, whether she is aggressive or naive, she may inadvertently hurt humans. Just like the previous flower card, she has no intention of fighting or hurting others, but if she is not stopped, there will still be casualties. It can only be said that he would not deliberately hunt. The deceased was really involved in the Kuro card incident and was killed, so it is not surprising, but it can't be ruled out that it was just a coincidence. If I guessed correctly, was the deceased you saw a man wearing formal clothes and a beard? Eminem further confirmed. Sakura nodded quickly, because that scene had a great impact on her. The impression was very deep, and she could confirm it without specifically recalling it. I think I know who it is. This guy. Eminem thought to himself. Sure enough, in Eminem's picture book last night, I also checked the matter of Demoto Tourism online and found that this is a controversial company. It is trying to gain popularity, draw up contracts with traps, and shortchange the construction team, not once or twice. And like the development of the Celebi Colossus in Marientown this time, some people use the curse of Celebi to intimidate him. Of course, Eminem does not believe in the curse of Celebi. Eminem, who has communicated spiritually with Celebi at close range, is certain that Celebi is a truly pure beast with a pure heart. The guy's different. If it is the giant statue of Lightning Bird, it might really be struck by lightning. But think about it, this is in the world of Pokémon. This guy is carrying the curse of the mythical beast and employing Kagura as a bodyguard. Now he actually appears in Sakura's prophetic dream in the form of a corpse. I think he had a right to die. Eminem said very sincerely. Eminem, you can't say that. Sakura thought that Eminem was just trying to help her shirk responsibility. Do you know the dissident? Who is he? Tomoyo asked quickly. If I guessed correctly, it should be a guy named Demoto Izo. He is the president of Demoto Tourism. Now, as Eminem spoke, he recounted what he knew, specifically emphasizing what he was about to do, the threats he received, and Demoto Tourism's reputation in the industry. However, Sakura obviously ignored the latter part, and she would not feel that his death was unjust. Tomoyo's attention was also on someone threatens Izo, and he said at this time, in other words, it's probably not the Kuro card, but it's definitely not Celebi's curse anyway. As Celebi's well-wisher, Eminem defended Celebi. Well, it could be someone else who hates him. After all, it's humans who kill humans. Tomoyo didn't mean to blame Celebi, but I dreamed about it. Sakura said weakly from the side point. Generally, what she can dream about is either closely related to herself or to the Kuro card. It is impossible to dream about a murdered uncle for no reason. Maybe it's only indirectly related. Tomoyo added. Zioke said from the side. Now that we know who it is, let's go find him today. Will Sakura's precognitive dream definitely come true? Amu asked curiously at this time. There are many types of prophetic dreams. I don't know now which one Zioing's belongs to. Zioke obviously didn't understand either. It seems that I really have to see him once. He just said yesterday that he would come to see me today. Just wait until he takes the initiative to come to the door, Eminem said, reluctantly pulling out the contact information of President Rang's AO blacklist. I originally wanted to hide away yesterday. However, it would be such a loss if it was neither Kuro card nor Celebi, but ended up causing a scene. Huh. Do you know him? Tomoyo asked upon seeing this. That's right, because I received the blessing from the rabbi yesterday, Amu said, explaining to Tomoyo and Sakura. And I also know the bodyguard he hired for tomorrow's operation ceremony. He is Uncle Kagoro. So there is no need to worry too much. Even if he is really dead, the real culprit will definitely be found, Eminem said to Rang. It's all a don't die at my doorstep mentality. However, Sakura still hopes that there will be no casualties, even if it may not be directly related to the Clo card. Sure enough, Eminem received an invitation from Rang's AO in the morning. Not only did he want to have lunch with him, but he also invited him to participate in the afternoon trial run. Chapter 495. Bring two friends. Hey, President Izal, right? Lunch. I have an appointment with friends, but they can come together. Okay, yes, just pick me up at the Pokémon Center. After Eminem received the call from Izodamoto, he not only agreed to the lunch invitation, but also invited Tomoyo and Sakura in. However, after Eminem put down the phone, he discovered that Sakura was okay and was encouraging herself as if she was going to do something big, while Tomoyo had a speechless expression. What? Do you mean you've made a date with a friend? Don't you feel like you're taking someone for a meal? Tomoyo said helplessly. So, do you have a better reason to take you guys with you? Eminem spread his hands. Originally, Eminem thought that he could still see Sonoko and the others, because yesterday, at Conan's request, Kagoro agreed to take Xiaolan and the others to participate in the trial operation inspection. However, after checking with Sonoko, Eminem discovered that Kagoro did not come to the same hotel as him. Izo invited Eminem to a hotel under the Suzuki group. It seems not a group of people to entertain. It's right to think about it. After all, Izao doesn't know that Amu and Kagoro know each other. And in terms of importance, of course Eminem is more important, and President Izo personally received him here. And because Zio AI didn't want to see hypocritical adults, she acted with Ziolan and the others. Seeing Eminem bringing two girls to the banquet, Rang's AO was still a little unhappy. Young people today are not serious enough. They actually bring girlfriends to such an occasion. Two more. TSK, is it to show that you know a big shot like me, President? Rangzo, let me introduce these two people. Eminem introduced them out of politeness. Rang's AO didn't care at first. Why do you care who your friend is? But then I heard Eminem say, Tomoyo Deiji and Sakura Kinomoto are friends who traveled with me. They heard about the Celebi statue cable car this time, and were very interested, so we came together. Oh, it turns out it's Dadao Deo Temple. Rang's AO was about to say a few words casually, but suddenly he was stunned. This surname is not that rare, but I just met Mike yesterday. Rang's AO couldn't. I think this is a coincidence. Excuse me, Daoji group and you. Rang's AO was still a little unsure. My mother's temple is beautiful, but this time I'm just here to have a meal with Mr. Amu as a traveling companion. Tomoyo euphemistically expressed the meaning of getting close to each other. It turns out she is the eldest lady of Daoji group. It's really disrespectful Rangzeo stood up immediately, with an amiable look on his face, and even gave up his seat. However, Tomoyo was only respectful and insensitive to this, and maintained a considerable social distance. This is Inuko Yasunori and Inigo Marina. They are really incompetent. It would be great if they could be like Miss Tomoyo and Mr. Amu. Izo humbly introduced the man and woman who were also at the table. The children complained in their hearts. Why should we be like them? Aren't they just going on a trip? We wanted to travel when we were young, but you didn't agree. The motto Kanko has a lot of dealings with Daidaiji Group. After all, in the Quartz Alliance, there are Daidaiji shopping malls everywhere, and the motto Kanko is also developing tourism resources in various places. The retail industry and tourism have a certain relationship. I often deal with Daidaiji Group. But compared with Daidaiji Group, the motto Kanko is inconspicuous. Iza still has a sense of superiority in front of the mall managers in various branches, but when he sees the executives of Daidaiji Group, he has to nod and bow. As for Yuanmei himself, he had never met her. Now that he saw the only daughter of Yuanmei as chairman, Rangzeo naturally became attentive. Seeing that Chise was not interested, he also specifically mentioned his several cooperations with Daidaiji Group, which was actually development. In some scenic spots in towns, we cooperate with local Daidaiji shopping malls and Daidaiji Group. It's not just shopping malls. To be precise, Daidaiji Group's main businesses are real estate and pharmaceuticals. The reason why it has such a strong presence in the retail industry is a derivative of real estate, and also to feed back the pharmaceutical industry. The profit it makes is just a fraction. Tomoyo was tired of being annoyed by him, so he politely agreed. Indeed, I have heard many general managers of rural branches say that after the motto tourism developed the tourism industry, shopping malls that had no performance in the first place have become more capable. Selling some souvenirs will increase sales by several points. A tone of thank you Leotai for the 3 melons and 2 dates. Haha, that's really an honor. After Rangzeo had suffered a soft nail, he finally stopped bothering Zhi. Sakura couldn't help but said, President Izo, are you going to take the cable car at the Celebi statue in the past 2 days? Yes, this is our most promoted project this year. From the cable car, you can not only overlook the entire huge statue, but you can also pass through the Celebi statue. Rangzeo was very proud. Eminem glanced at him. Good guy, you've even pierced the stone statue, haven't you? If this was a statue of Lightning Bird, you would no longer have it. Is there anyone who hates President Izo because of this? Sakura asked bluntly, causing Izo's face to froze. Just some diehards. Mr. Ami shouldn't believe in the curse of Celebi or anything like that, right? Izao asked in a somewhat instructive way. No, this is not a matter of curse, but of allegedly taking advantage of the popularity of Celebi. Eminem did not directly deny the curse. Otherwise, no matter what they say in the future, when Rangzeo publicizes it, they will only say Rabbi Celebi's well-wishers said there is no curse and nothing else will be mentioned at all. How can this be said to be frivolous? We also want to promote Celebi culture. Ahem. Tomorrow's trial operation ceremony. If Mr. Eminem has any concerns, why not come and see it in person? Rangzeo denied it repeatedly, and an invitation was extended to Eminem. Eminem looked at Rangzeo, and then emphasized, to be honest, as a well-wisher of Celebi, I'm actually disgusted with this kind of behavior, but it is precisely because of my disgust that I hope to be there tomorrow, so as not to Rabbi Celebi's reputation was damaged because of some grudges between humans. Rangzeo was stunned when he heard the words. But he didn't expect that Eminem wouldn't give him a chance at all, and the travel expenses that were originally prepared. Looking at Tomoyo, Rangzeo also felt that he couldn't do anything. He couldn't help but curse the little pretty face in his heart, but still said kindly, of course. By the way, there is a trial run this afternoon, why don't we do it after dinner? Go, after. Hearing this, Eminem looked at Tomoyo and Sakura quickly said, okay. Then let's go both times. Eminem vaguely guessed that Sakura didn't know when Damoto died, so she was so active. Then, let's go. Eminem nodded when he saw this. Rangzeo is still confused about the relationship between these 3 people. Of course Izo has never heard of wooden roots. Chapter 496 Trial Run. In addition to Izo, his second son Junpei and daughter Ina were also at the luncheon. If it was just entertaining Eminem, it wouldn't need to be so grand, but it just happened to catch up with their return. In normal times, the motto tourism, only the eldest son Yasunori helps Izo with the business. The second son Junpei has his own business, but it is not very successful, and the daughter Ina is a trainer. She has no talent, and she lives a carefree life, forcing herself to be a trainer. He is a trainer, the kind who hasn't earned 8 badges in his 20s, and isn't looking for a job point this time. When the children came back, one borrowed money to make ends meet, and the other asked for money directly for expenses. Although they were still paying attention to the influence due to the presence of Tomoyo and Amu. Amu also vaguely noticed some of the atmosphere at the dinner table, and couldn't help but looked at Izao with an "Even more you have a right to die" look, and secretly said, "Of your 3 suspects, 2 are already in place." Ranzao didn't understand what Amu was looking at. Why was he inexplicably pitiful? Originally, Izo was not prepared to go there in person for today's trial run. It was the eldest son Yasunori and his secretary Ayaka who were receiving Kagoro and others. Afterwards, they would go to the trial run to check for threat factors. However, Amu proposed to go and have a look at this time, especially Tomoyo also said the same. After the banquet, Ranzao also took the initiative to take Amu and the 3 of them along. I happened to meet Kagoro and others who had also arrived 5 minutes ago. Result A. Eminem. Tomoyo. Why are you here too? Yuanzi looked at Eminem in confusion. Is Miss Sonoko here too? Tomoyo looked at Sonoko, and then at Asori, who was in his 30s, and should be Izao's eldest son. He was also in his 20s. He looked good looking, and had a gentle and capable temperament. Ayaka immediately understood the general situation, so she said specifically, "It's President Izo, please come and take a look." "Father? What are you doing?" Bayoze was a little surprised to see his father coming in person. "I'll bring Miss Tomoyo and Mr. Amu to have a look." Ranzao seemed to have forgotten that he was here to invite Amu today, and even put him at the back during the introduction. After all, if we can establish a relationship with Daidaiji Group, even if the project of Rabbi Giant Elephant fails to succeed in the end, the motto tourism will be able to reach a higher level in the future. As for the relationship between Eminem and Tomoyo, they should really be just traveling companions. Right? Ranzao really didn't realize that there was any ambiguity between the 2. Tomoyo took a closer look at the garden and found that she didn't seem to notice anything, so she secretly showed an expression of hatred for Ian. Well, although President Izo personally received Tomoyo and asked his son to receive Sonoko, if this kind of behavior were reversed, Tomoyo would definitely have to step into the shoes of such a short-sighted company. But with Sonoko's carefree character, he didn't think much about it at all. Didn't even notice there was anything wrong with it. But well, by the way, President Izo, let me introduce you. This is Miss Sonoko, the daughter of my idol, Mr. Moko Suzuki. It was Mr. Yasunori who received them just now. Haha. After all, Daidaiji Group, I usually have some interactions with the motto Kanko. Sonoko, don't think too much about it. Tomoyo looked like I'm not the one causing trouble, but Izo doesn't think highly of the Suzuki Group at all. But out of politeness I can help him think of an excuse. Old man Ranzao broke out in a cold sweat right then. However, Sonoko was talking to Amu and asked him, "Why did you come with Tomoyo, even though you couldn't tell me?" When she heard Tomoyo call her name, she looked back at her blankly and said, "Huh? What did you say?" Tomoyo. Tomoyo also doesn't understand what happened to Aunt Tomoko's genes, and how did it end up like this in Sonoko. Chise just did not lie or be polite. She actually admired Tomoko. However, after careful observation, Tomoyo discovered that Sonoko is actually a little nervous and suspicious now, but the target is entirely on Eminem. What she was suspicious of was why Amu couldn't tell her yesterday, but today, he came with Tomoyo. Could it be that it's not "don't come, but don't come with me"? After discovering this, Tomoyo put on a smile, then stepped forward pretending to be natural, took Eminem's arm, pulled him back and said, "Eminem, let's make one. We don't have anything important. Do we need to discuss the matter, eh?" Eminem was stunned when he heard this. "We really need to discuss the Shippei, matter, but why did you say it so awkwardly? Yuan's head suddenly jumped and he said, Amu, is it okay for me to ride on the same cable car as you? Of course, if there is something important to discuss, and you don't want me to know, no, you can come together if you want. Eminem looked at Yuanzi inexplicably, with an expression like why are you so angry, then? I'll be the guide for Mr. Amu and the two ladies. I was a tour guide before, ha ha ha. Rang Zhao stepped forward quickly and said what Chai said just now shocked him. The Suzuki Group's main business is large-scale transactions such as energy and minerals. But, in the Quartz Alliance, many hotels have also been opened. The relationship between hotels and tourism is much closer than retail, although it is not an upstream and downstream relationship when it reaches the size of Daidaiji Group and Suzuki Group. The cooperative relationship has been squeezed into downstream. Fortunately, the eldest daughter of the Suzuki family, no, it should be the second daughter, right? He didn't seem to notice anything at all, and Rang Zhao quickly made amends at this time point, and when he saw Tomoyo, Sakura, and Ami just now, Izo didn't see anything at all, but when he saw Tomoyo, Sonoko, and Amu, why did this change? Rang Zhao looked at Eminem suspiciously. Well, because of the two moon path reasons. I have some beautiful features foundation. Just because I didn't choose moon in sequence 7, it doesn't look that shocking. However, Izo originally wanted to take a cable car with Eminem, but as soon as it got closer, the plane in Zioai's arms made some resisting sounds. Jigu, jigu, jigu ah. It seems to hate you very much. When Zioai saw Ami coming, she came closer. As for Pakejigu, she was always holding him point. Because of Zioai's childish talk, Rang Zhao couldn't force himself to get on the same cable car, so he had to say to the secretary on the side, ha, 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 Ayaka, then come and entertain the distinguished guests for me. Zioai Mr. Goro, please take a cable car with me. Mr. Kagoro will be responsible for my safety tomorrow. Although Kagoro was unhappy with being treated as a second-rate customer, out of professional ethics, and for the sake of the commission, he still patted his chest and said, leave it to me. I often do this kind of work. I never do it. There are no negative reviews. Chapter 497 Cable Car. With a burst of noise, the cable car started running smoothly. The cable car, where Eminem is located, is like a luxury box. It is also far away from the previous cable car to ensure that the view is not blocked. It is undoubtedly the first class in every cable car. Because the technology is high enough, this cable car is not pulled by an ordinary chain. The groove at the top is a magnetic levitation design. It is dedicated to the little Magnemite family and the Thunderbolt family. Electromagnetic levitation is used in the control room. Come to provide energy here. Therefore, there is no shaking feeling like the old antique cable car. How long have Miss Ayaka been the secretary of President Izo? Does President Izo often receive threatening letters? Eminem asked at this time. I've only been here at Damoto Tourism for about a year. President Izo has a more practical style, which did cause some misunderstandings. Ayaka said tactfully but obviously in just 1 year of joining the company, Ayaka has seen him do things that made people hate him more than once. President Izo only has these 3 children? How is their family relationship? Eminem continued to ask when Ayaka saw that Eminem didn't ask about things related to sightseeing at all, but kept asking questions around the president. She already felt something was wrong, but she looked at Tomoyo and Sonoko, who were sitting face to face, and Ayaka was still answered honestly. President Izo is not a very expressive person. As a father, of course he cares about his children, but sometimes he is a little harsh on the air. Ayaka seemed to praise Izo but except for Sakura and Hebo, everyone present understood that President Izo's family relationship was not close, and the eldest son might also have some complaints. Eminem feels that the suspects are almost gathered together. Sonoko and Tomoyo were originally looking at each other. No, it should be said that Sonoko was staring at Tomoyo, but Tomoyo just met her gaze with a smile. But at this time, the giant statue was getting closer and closer. Tomoyo specifically said to Sakura, "Sakura, you see, when you get closer, it really becomes more majestic. If it were normal Sakura, she would have been leaning on the front window to watch, and would have been the first to yell, but now, Sakura was lying on the window at the back, staring intently at the cable car behind, the one where President Izo and Kagoro were riding. Ayaka didn't understand what this little girl was doing. Immediately afterwards, Eminem also saw the hole in front of him, and his expression became a little weird. This cable car has a hole opened from the tip of Saliba's head. After entering the statue, the surrounding light dimmed, but then dim lights lit up on both sides. I saw that the interior was not overly decorated and still maintained the original appearance of the rock texture, but there were many small statues carved on both sides. Huh? This is? Tomoyo asked curiously. These small statues were in groups and seemed to be somewhat famous. They are some historical legends. This section is the Battle of the Ending Valley. This section is the Battle of the Sacred Tree. Ayaka introduced them one by one at this time. Eminem, on the other hand, asked with a weird look on his face, "Give Celebi an idea, and then put other sculptures inside." Whose idea is this? Ahem. This is President Izo's idea, but I definitely didn't mean to offend Celebi. Ayaka specially explained for the president. This section of the cable car travels relatively slowly, so you can take a closer look at these sculptures. Then Ayaka said, when she was about to reach the exit, "By the way, President Izo said that, if Mr. Amu is willing, you can add a sculpture here." The sculptures of the Millennium Battle of Maiden Gorge, including the statue of Mr. Amu, can accommodate a total of 3 large and 6 small statue groups. No, please don't. Eminem refused directly. Ayaka heard that Amu was very determined, so she said no more. Finally coming out of the tunnel inside the statue, Eminem realized that the exit was through his mouth, because the shape of the statue is that Celebi's raised right hand is holding a lucky egg, which is said to bring good luck to people, so the cable car was also slightly raised at this time, specially to pick up the lucky egg from Celebi's hand. Passing by, you can see that a fixed viewing platform has been set up here, allowing people to watch it up close. Ayaka also emphatically introduced the legend about this lucky egg to everyone at this time. "Ah!" Sakura suddenly exclaimed. Eminem looked over quickly, thinking she saw something happen behind her, but she found Sakura was looking at Celebi's hand holding the lucky egg. "What's wrong?" Ayaka asked with some confusion when she saw this. "No, it's nothing." Sakura looked a little ugly, but she didn't explain. Eminem and Tomoyo looked at each other at this moment and guessed the reason for Sakura's exclaim. The crime scene she saw in her dream should be here, and Yuanzi looked at the two people looking at each other, and their eyes became more and more suspicious. Zioa looked at the other 4 people with a human being's a so stupid look in her eyes, and then continued to tease the little plane. Immediately afterwards, Amu and others also saw a cable car coming out of the tunnel without any damage or panic. Eminem and the 3 were relieved when they saw this. It seems that it's not today. Then the cable car reached the end, and Eminem and others got off directly without any intention of taking a round trip. Later, President Izo and Uncle Kagoro also walked down. The only exception was that Uncle Kagoro's legs were a little weak, but this was his own problem. President Izo originally wanted to come and ask how Eminem, Tomoyo, and Sonoko were feeling, but Sakura came up to him anxiously and said, "President Izo, please do not take the cable car tomorrow." Only then did Sakura realize that the cable car was so close to the crime scene, so she didn't want the deceased to take the cable car. Izo was stunned when he heard this, then smiled and said, "Ha ha ha, little girl, are you worried about my safety? Don't worry, there is Detective Kagoro, and I'm also prepared." Of course, what Rangzeo was actually thinking was that it seemed that Eminem was not interested in this place. However, as a big businessman who made his fortune from scratch, Rangzeo would not just give up. It would be fine if Eminem was not willing to cooperate. "I actually have a backup plan. Tomorrow, let those unscrupulous people and the media who report their dirty information look good." Sakura wanted to persuade her again, but Izo had already found an excuse and walked away. "Okay, we've also received an invitation tomorrow, so let's come back then." Eminem patted Sakura on the shoulder and persuaded her to come back. Point at the same time, what Eminem was thinking was that he couldn't even wait until tomorrow, right? Sitting down this time, Eminem didn't feel that the murderer would have any chance to commit the crime. Although he passed the crime scene, he probably didn't do it during official operation. Otherwise, he could have killed him directly in full view of the public and then thrown him away. Could it be in the hands of Silly B? Chapter 498 Sudden. So Mr. Eminem came to the ceremony not because he supports dermatotourism, but to supervise dermatotourism, right? At the operation ceremony, a reporter from Donghae Daily was interviewing Eminem. Because he had done a lot of homework, he recognized Eminem as a relevant person in the crowd at a glance and immediately stepped forward to get it. Crucial interviews. Of course it's not because of support, but to say it's supervision is a bit too much. After all, the town office has handed over the development rights to dermatotourism. Even if Rabbi Sr. Alanka has blessed me, I can't use its name to do anything to others. Things are interfering, right? I'm just worried that someone will use the reputation of Salibi to do bad things. Eminem replied thoughtfully, without saying whether the bad things meant a curse or this time the development itself of dermatotourism. Eminem expressed his overall attitude first, but then did not improve his actions afterwards. Ash asked Eminem some more questions, but seeing that he didn't answer them directly, he ended the interview. After thanking him. After the interview, the younger brother Shanron on the side quickly praised, as expected of senior XIU. I found an important interviewee in no time. It's still early. You will be smarter later. I always feel that the old fox Rang Zhao has a conspiracy. He has done such things only once or twice, but this time it seems different. XIU looks tall and thin, while Shanron is short and chubby. The two are reporters from Donghae Daily who reported the matter this time. The Donghae Daily broke the dirty information about dermatotourism not once or twice. Ashu also knew that Rang Zhao was an old guy, and he was not usually so calm. However, Rang Zhao was uncharacteristically different this time. He even called them as witnesses during the official operation ceremony. In the opening speech, President D'Amato thanked Kaguro for being present and also mentioned Eminem. The operation of the cable car this time has indeed come under pressure from some aspects, but we, dermatotourism, as always, uphold the spirit of promoting history, preserving history, and remembering history. In order to dispel the rumors of a curse, I specially invited the famous detective Mr. Kaguro, and as Saliba's well-wisher, Mr. Eminem also came to the scene. He also put forward many suggestions during this development of our company. Just when President D'Amato said this, an old Joe stood up and emphasized, D'Amato, we just asked Mr. Eminem, and he said that he does not support this development, but is just worried that someone will do this to you. The dirty guy did it, but he blamed Rabbi. There was chaos at the scene. The security guards didn't dare to do anything to Joe at this age, so they could only invite her out with a smile. However, the reporter from Donghae Daily also took the opportunity to prove that old Joe was right. Rang Zhao's face froze at first, and then, for some reason, he sneered, and then said, of course, I know what you mean, and I will ask you to conduct this first operation with me as a witness. After Izo cut the ribbon, he and those who participated in the first operation came to the cable car station, but then went to the bathroom. Where is President Rang Zhao? When Amu came over, he didn't see him. Hearing Eminem ask this, Sakura and Sonoko on the side immediately looked around nervously. Yes, Eminem finally told Sonoko about the things that Shan, Tomoyo and the others were concerned about last night. Anyway, because of Xiana Lang, Sonoko already knew about the wizard. To the senior executives of the Suzuki Group, the wizard was not a secret, and the Kuro card was easy to explain. The result is Sonoko suddenly fell in love with Sakura. They were both carefree, a little nymphomaniac, and natural, but Sonoko mainly liked her looks, while Sakura not only liked her looks, but also her gentle personality. Seeing Sonoko and Sakura walking together, Tomoyo smiled even more kindly. Miss Ayaka isn't here either? Kaguro wondered at this time. Slim Shady. Eminem looked at this bodyguard with no negative reviews speechlessly. His employer was gone. but he was still here looking for beautiful women. Just when Eminem was wondering if he had been killed and wanted to check the hands of the Celebi Colossus, President Izzo came over. Sorry for the extra long wait. Hahaha. President Rangzo's smile was a bit fake. Eminem frowned and looked at Rangzo. I always felt that there was something strange about him, not in terms of breath or temperament, but his attitude was very strange at this time, completely different from the opening speech not long ago, as if he had just learned some bad news and felt guilty inexplicably. Just when Eminem began to wonder if he had killed Ayaka, who was not here, Ayaka also trotted over and said with a slight sweat, sorry, I just went to get some information. Slim Shady. Okay, it looks like no one is dead yet. Ayaka. President Izzo called out to Ayaka with a complicated expression. President, what's the matter? Ayaka looked at President Izzo in surprise. I saw Rangzo curling his lips and then said, help me take care of the distinguished guests. Yes. Ayaka agreed immediately. After that, everyone got on the cable car, but because there were too many people, it was still divided into two cars. The division was the same as yesterday's test run, but this time it was President Rangzo and the others who were sitting in the car in front, and there were two more reporters from the Donghae Daily in the car in front. After all, it was an official operation ceremony. And Rangzo could not, it would be too lowly to please the eldest ladies of Daidaiji Group and Suzuki Group at this time. Then Ayaka saw the eldest daughter of the Suzuki family, this time together with a little girl named Sakura, were lying on the front window, staring at the cable car in front of them. Don't keep an eye on it. Nothing will happen. It's such a small cable car. If you really want to do something about it, you won't do it now. Eminem came closer at this time and said to the two of them, because he had yesterday's trial run and probably knew the process. Eminem didn't think that Rangzo was killed during the run. Otherwise, wouldn't the murderer have revealed his name directly? Immediately afterwards, the cable car in front had entered the tunnel, but Sonoko and Sakura did not relax at all. Pock. Jigu the little plane suddenly flapped its wings excitedly and looked towards the tunnel ahead. What's wrong? Eminem also felt something bad when he saw this. Jigu has ice power. After Eminem heard the voice of the little plane, he immediately understood that there seemed to be a Pokémon in front of him, and it used its ability. There any projects for ice Pokémon in the tunnel? Refrigeration? Amu asked Ayaka quickly. No. Ayaka looked puzzled when she saw this. Eminem didn't have to wonder for too long. Soon Sonoko and Sakura also saw it. What's going on? It's so dark in the tunnel. You can't see inside at all. Yuanzi said quickly at this time. What? Eminem also immediately came to the viewing window and found it's black mist. Damn it. What do you want to do? Amu recognized this move. It was the ice type, black mist, although he didn't know what was going on. But with the support of Sakura's prophecy, Eminem waited for his cable car to enter the tunnel, opened the door, jumped out, and rode a horse. At this time, the tunnel was filled with black fog. The reason is that not only is it cold, but also I can't see my fingers. Chapter 499 Black Mist Murderous Intent. Eminem noticed something strange and jumped out of the cable car together with Sakura. Everyone, sit still. We don't know the situation yet, so be careful, Ling He said, first stepping forward to hug the scared Zoe to comfort her. Ayaka's voice came from the cable car behind her, but Eminem and Sakura had already jumped off. But it was pitch black all around, and I couldn't see my fingers. Not only has the lighting been destroyed, but it also has the effect of black mist. In fact, the main effect of this ice type skill is to cool down the ability gene segment. That is, to restore the abilities of all Pokémon within the range, whether Inspire or Silence, to their original state. But just like its name, it is indeed filled with black fog after being used, making this already dark tunnel difficult to see. What's going on? Damn it. Flash, blow them away. Eminem wanted to press the lightning bird ball at this time. As a mythical beast, you don't need to do anything special. You can blow them away by moving your wings, but the lightning bird ball has no reaction. Don't make noise, mother. I have already said that I don't care about this nonsense. Zio Shan's voice directly passed into Eminem's heart. Bang. Eminem made an unhappy sound, but didn't say much. Yesterday, Eminem discussed with Xiao-Shan and wanted her to be on guard at high places. However, when she saw the Colossus of Celebi, Xiao-Shan was so jealous that she transformed and insisted that Eminem get one for her after Amu explained to her that the life of the president who developed the tourism resources here might be in danger, and if Xiao-Shan was willing to help, Izo would like to get a statue of Lightning Bird. After that, Xiao-Shan directly refused to help. Well, at the beginning, Xiao-Shan was indeed jealous of Celebi, but when he heard that humans did such things to Celebi Colossus, Xiao-Shan directly refused to help with the same hatred. I have to say that Xiao-Shan's love and hate are quite clear, but without Xiao-Dian. Eminem also directly mounted a horse and chased forward. A horse galloped quickly on the rock wall of the tunnel. But this tunnel was for a cable car. The road was full of potholes and sculptures, so it was not smooth running. At the same time, Sakura also rode on the ceiling staff. Under the influence of Shopei, the ceiling staff stretched out its long wings and flew in mid-air because of the black mist, and don't worry about being seen by others. However, Eminem chased forward but failed to catch up with the car in front immediately. The cable car in front should also have a power outage, Amu said at this time, otherwise he would be able to see the light. By the time Eminem saw the light, he had already reached the tunnel exit. Eminem chased him out at this time, but saw that Uncle Kagoro and his cable car had just exited the tunnel, and at the same time he could vaguely see a panic inside. Seeing this, Eminem quickly looked in the direction of the hand of Celebi Colossus, and sure enough, behind Eminem, Sakura exclaimed. I saw a person lying on Celebi's hand with his back facing up. Judging from his clothes, it should be Rangzeo himself. Sakura is about to fly over. However, Eminem pulled her wand and stopped her first. No, there's a camera. Eminem stopped her quickly. There were 2 reporters in the cable car ahead. If the magical girl was photographed, it would be really big news. At the same time, Kagoro and the others also saw what was happening in the hands of the Celebi Colossus. They quickly thought of President Rangzeo, because just now, when the cable car passed through the tunnel, all the lights suddenly went out, and there was a black fog around. In the darkness, someone pushed Shannon, who was holding the camera. At this time, President Rangzeo suddenly let out a scream. When the cable car came out, everyone found that President Izo had disappeared, and then a corpse appeared in the hands of the Celebi Colossus. Although it has not yet been determined whether it is a corpse or not, the distance is still a bit far, and it is difficult to see clearly, but looking at the scene, it is estimated that it is already dangerous. 1. Horse. Charge up. Eminem patted the one horse and motioned it to jump onto the arm of the Colossus of Celebi, and then climbed up directly. But motorcycle? Motorcycle. Yima jumped suddenly, but just as he stepped on his arm, his feet slipped, and he fell directly. Eminem. Sakura exclaimed and flew down to pick up Eminem and Kazuma. Just a little bit. The way she was riding the wand was seen by people in the cable car coming from behind. Fortunately, everyone in the cable car in front was focused on the suspected body of Izo. But Eminem was actually fine. After his horse slipped for a moment, he found his balance in the air. He used the strength of the Celebi Colossus and jumped 3 or 5 times before releasing his strength and falling down. What's wrong? Amu quickly confirmed to Yima. Motorcycle. Yima looked a little down and frustrated. It's okay. It's not your fault. Amu also noticed at this time that there was some broken ice on the horse's paws. It seems that someone attached a thin layer of ice to the arm of Celebi Colossus in advance. Not only is it very slippery, but Motolizard is a Pokémon with dragon plus normal attributes. Like most other dragons, they are afraid of the cold, and they will inevitably be distracted when they step on the ice. Although the Motolizard can run on the snowfield after keeping warm, this is because it was caught off guard. Secondly, this must be ice formed by the power of ice, not natural ice, because Eminem saw them in the snow. Quickly sublimates and disappears at this time. Sakura also fell next to Eminem. Are you okay? It's okay. Don't worry. If it doesn't work, Xiao-Shan will still come out. Eminem comforted the startled Sakura. If I don't come out, I'll beat you to death. Beat you to death. Eminem ignored Xiao-Shan's noise and took Sakura directly to the terminal, and then climbed back the same way. It was faster than going directly to the terminal. There was an elevator to the viewing platform, and the viewing platform right next to the Colossus hand point. When Eminem and Sakura came back, everyone was relieved. Although Sonoko and the others actually knew that Sakura was a magical girl and Eminem also had a lightning bird, they were still scared when they didn't see them after they came out. A jump point. When he mentioned it to the outside world, Eminem naturally did not say that Sakura flew down. He only said that he took Sakura and rode a motorcycle lizard and wanted to climb up the giant statue's arm, but it turned out that someone had tampered with it, accidentally fell down, but the motor lizard reacted quickly and moved quickly, so the two were not injured. Really, although it's very urgent, you don't want to do such a dangerous thing. Kagoro said he was an adult and scolded the two of them. President Izo, he. Although Eminem had already guessed by looking at everyone's expressions, he still asked at this time point. Rege, Rangseo's daughter, had covered her face and cried bitterly. Apparently they had just confirmed that Rangzeo had passed away. Conan's expression was very solemn at this time. Apparently he still hadn't figured out what happened. Why did Izo's body appear outside immediately after disappearing in the tunnel? Could it be that someone not only sneaked into the cable car, but also quickly killed Rangzeo, took his body away, and placed it in the hands of the statue first? Celebi. It must be Celebi's curse. That's why in such a short time. Ashu was still slightly excited at this time. Impossible. Eminem immediately stopped his speculation. You bastard. Zeo's two sons wanted to look good to the reporter, who was gloating over his misfortune, but they were persuaded to stop. I don't know why, but Eminem feels that the eldest son's mood is a little strange. Chapter 500 Acquaintance. A. Mr. Kagoro, this, if I understand you correctly, you mean that the victim rode the cable car with you, was attacked in the tunnel, and then disappeared, and you were outside right after. Did you see this corpse on the statue's hand? Hengao Sensuo, who was an instant noodle maker, was transferred to the city at some point. The Junsha system of the Quartz Alliance is still the same. Although Sakaki has cultivated high-level internal agents in the Junsha system in Kanto, it is not easy to go too far. The limit of mutual tolerance is Rainbow City. Police Inspector Toshio is Sakaki's man. If Sakaki really wants to completely control the Junsa of Kanto, then the high-ranking Junsa who originally supported him in the Junsa system will definitely turn against him. Hengao understood that it was still the police department, but seeing how big the transfer was, he should be promoted soon. When Eminem and Zao AI went to find Professor Zengzi to get her sister's USB flash drive, they encountered the university professor was hypnotized by a cross-dressing man incident. Hengao had seen the police department. In contrast, the Hengao police department has dealt with Kagoro more than once or twice, and he is a big fan of Kagoro, and even considers himself a disciple of Kagoro. Originally, the Hengao police department was relieved to see Kagoro present, but now after hearing Kagoro's statement about the case, he couldn't help but question at this is too weird. The person who disappeared in the tunnel appeared on the statue outside. Isn't this chronological order wrong? Could it be that someone killed people in the tunnel or cable car at extremely fast speeds, then took the bodies out and dumped them outside first? Hengao Police Department wondered at this time. It sounds like this is the only possibility, but when there was a power outage in the cable car, I blocked the door. Absolutely no one came in or out, and I also released the wind speed dog at that time, and I didn't smell anyone else. Kagoro emphasized at this time. Is it teleportation? If that's the case, Hengao Police Department said, looking at the huge statue of Celebi. I don't know if it's because of its huge size or because of the murder that just happened, but the Colossus looks a bit ferocious at this moment. It should be more of a psychological effect, because if you can carry a corpse and move in space so freely, whether it is movement in the sense of space or movement in time, it is enough to show that the ability of the Pokémon doing it is quite high, and it is even possible. Impossible. It was definitely not Celebi's fault. Hengao Police Department must not be lazy. Eminem interrupted at this time point. Of course Eminem knows what the Hangzhou Police Department was thinking just now. If it is concluded that the Pokémon that committed the crime has much higher abilities than ordinary Pokémon, and it is speculated that it was the work of a mythical beast, the case will probably go unsolved. After all, even the motive is ready. As for mythical beasts hurting humans, if the previous situation like that of the Shinchiano really resulted in huge casualties, then humans would definitely not give up. Moreover, there is also a tacit understanding between the divine beasts and humans. Even if Little Flash does not die, he will still be killed, pressed and imprisoned in the endless sea point. But in the current situation, if Rangzeo really offended the divine beast and was killed later, it would definitely be sealed as an unresolved case. The Alliance would not complain against him, and Junsha would not. It must be precisely because of this that the murderer chose to set up such a murderous plot to escape his guilt. Now Eminem doesn't even think that this is related to Shipei, because the murderous intention is too clear. If it is an accidental death caused by Shipei's ability, it cannot be so watertight. You are. Hangzhou Police Department looked at Eminem and felt that he looked familiar. We met before when we were in Kuai City, when the professor from Nanyang University. Seeing that the Hangzhou Police Department hadn't reacted yet, Amu added, "It's the one with the cross-dressing guy." Oh. By the way, I heard that you and Detective Kagoro knew each other. Are you here to play together this time? The Hangzhou Police Department finally realized point at this time. A police officer from the Hangzhou Police Department came forward and whispered a few words to him in a low voice, looking at Eminem while speaking. What? Was he blessed by Celebi? That's it. Hangzhou Police Department's expression tightened upon hearing this. Originally, he was thinking that this was probably done by Celebi. Although Celebi in legend is a very peace-loving mythical beast that is unwilling to harm other Pokémon and humans. But, after all, you haven't seen it before, right? Maybe Celebi likes this sculpture very much. I can only blame Rang for making me. But now, there are trainers who have been blessed by Celebi at the scene. If they firmly oppose the conclusion of the case in this way, it will be difficult for them to refute. Mr. Eminem, I wonder if there is any connection between you and Celebi. Or can you confirm Celebi's location? Hangzhou Police Department asked with some expectation. He is not an irresponsible Junsha. If Eminem says that he can sense Celebi, which means he confirms that Celebi is not present, then he can rule out this possibility and concentrate on investigating the case. However, Eminem shook his head and said, there is no connection. But I know that Celebi is not a mythical beast that can kill people. I understand. The Hangzhou Police Department was very disappointed and even felt that Eminem could not confirm that Celebi was not there, and as a blessed person, he insisted that Celebi was not responsible. Such behavior has disturbed the cases on. However, on the surface, I still respect Eminem's opinion. After all, he is a well-wisher of Celebi. If you want to attribute it to suspected Celebi's doing to seal the case, Eminem's opinion is still very important. There happened to be Celebi's well-wisher nearby, and the Hangzhou Police Department was also very unlucky. If you think about it this way, it might actually be the work of those admirers of Celebi, right? Kagoro began to reason from the motives, and then added, of course, it's definitely not Eminem. I'm not an admirer either. Eminem rolled his eyes at him. Being blessed by an outdated rabbi and crazily worshipping a rabbi are two different things. Well, I don't know why Mr. Amu is here for. The Hangzhou Police Department seemed to have been reminded by Kagoro and began to question Amu. I happened to be traveling in Johto and passed by here. I knew that President Izo had received some threats, so I was worried that someone would do something bad to him. I was mainly worried that, if something happened to him, he would be mistaken for Celebi. Because, I don't want to protect the rabbi's admirers when he behaves in extreme ways, but unfortunately, I didn't expect to take action at this time. Eminem said truthfully, that is to say, Mr. Eminem was also on the same cable car at that time, before Hangzhou Police Department finished asking. Kagoro interrupted. No, he was in a cable car at the back. I also asked a few girls inside. Eminem only came after seeing black mist. He jumped off the cable car at the back and chased him into the tunnel. He got out of the tunnel one step later than our cable car, and there was another little girl with him. Well, I originally wanted to go to President Izo as soon as possible because I was riding a motorcycle lizard. I could have climbed over, but it was probably the murderer who specially covered the arms of the statue with a layer of ice. The force formed thin ice, and I accidentally fell down, so I arrived a little late. As Amu said, he pointed to the Hengao Police Department, where the ice was, but of course nothing could be seen now. It's so high. Mr. Eminem, you still have to pay attention to safety in the future. Hengao Police Department reminded, and then said to himself, it seems that Mr. Eminem has no suspicion this time. Eminem stared at him and reminded, it didn't happen last time either. The Hengao Police Department laughed dryly when they heard this. I didn't know who it was last time and even prepared a supermarket receipt as an alibi. I almost took out the handcuffs. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.